Well, good morning, my Teaser King family. I hope all is well. I'm fine. It's cold here, but okay. So we'll go through our football for the weekend. We got the game tonight, which is our free play is Detroit 3 and 54.5 over Dallas. We're going to take Dallas at 9. And we'll get into how we came up with that because that's important to understand. That's people can tell you to buy stocks, but they don't really tell you why, or real estate trust, or Bitcoin, or how to take this team in a football game or a baseball game. But you really want to know is why am I betting that? What's the strategy? What's the how did you come up with the thought? Why should I bet it? I don't think anybody asked that. I think if you get a handicapper, if you buy from a handicapper, does he explain? I know that's why I do, but I do that a lot. Gold, silver, comex, which we'll get into, is I explain why. You need to understand why you're doing it something. Why am I playing poker? Why am I playing craps or roulette? Why am I buying gold or silver? I think too many people get screwed. Like right now, you're in the stock market, and I just think too many people get screwed in the stock market because they don't really understand what they're doing. I think let's go to Attack on Wall Street. Well, you promised me that you put 60,000 into a real estate trust. And you said you promised it would be good, and you guaranteed an 8 or 10% return. Are you that stupid that you're going to get an 8 or 10% return? Oops, it works unless people don't pay their mortgages, which will never happen. Oops, it did happen. But the guy didn't understand what he was doing. Didn't understand the point. Right? You've got to understand why you are playing. So we're going to walk through why are you playing Dallas and 9 today? What is the point? So I try to give you teaser trends. And the reason we only play teasers is because, yes, we're concerned the game might be fixed, but the extra 6 points certainly helps play the game. And since I've been doing this since 1977, I get it down to a science pretty well, right? As you know, as you watch me, as you play my picks, as you see my history. Just go to Teaser King, go to history. You'll see all my picks and what's happening, and you'll see, the picks, but you don't really know why I made the picks. Now, if you listen, you kind of get it. Hey, Greg and John, you kind of get it if you listen to me. I try to get it explained, and it's the defense, it's the quarterback, it's the injuries, it's the weather. And there's a lot of variables in football. There's a lot of variables. There's a lot less variables in gold and silver, as we'll get into. Anyway, so let's get into gold right now, and then we will get into football and anything else you guys want to talk about. Anything to do with economics, finance, not a problem. And I know we all have questions, but we don't even know what the questions are. When I listen to Alligator, they're like bankers. So some of the concepts they talk about are bank concepts, and I'm not a banker. I'm an economist. That's a big difference. Oh, here we go. Gold. Now, what the fuck's going on with COMEX? It's down to 41.98, 41.83. When China has it, Europe brings it up a little. And now, confusingly, the U.S. is buying it. Sometimes they buy it. Sometimes China buys it. Sometimes Europe buys it. Sometimes the U.S. sells. Sometimes they buy. I mean, they don't know what the fuck's going on. So 42.17. Now this is going between 30. This has been going between 41.70, as you can see here, 41.80, and 42.60. The drops, there's a video I saw, I'll share, which is basically explaining comex as the banks selling to get the price down so they can buy. As I've told you for years now, that's what comex is. They're dropping the price so they can buy. That's all it is. It's got nothing to do with supply and demand, especially physical. This is all paper. And that's one of the reasons. Why do we buy gold? Because the paper's worthless and we get into gold. But comex is a different animal. It's actually paper price fixing. We're going to try to fix it with paper, but they can't hold it because now the Ponzi scheme's over because people want physical. And when you want physical, it ends the Ponzi scheme of paper to paper to paper to paper. You won't take delivery. Now it's different. Now everybody's taking delivery because they're trying to buy it for 42.16, right? It's 42.16. So the Chinese, the Russians want to buy it at 42. So they can't buy it for 42.16 anywhere else because you're getting a real physical price, probably 44, 4,500, not this bullshit 4,200. Silver, as we see, is down to 57.13. Why is it down $1.05? There is no supply. There's huge demand. Why is it down? Again, it's bullshit. It's so now this is really weird because this isn't even like you can buy some. You can't even find it, right? So if I can't find silver, why would I lower the price? To buy what? Well, I guess the only answer is to buy here. You're buying on comex. Comex isn't really made to, I go to my store. It's a golden coin and jewelry store. I go there to buy, and I get 10 ounces, or I get 5 ounces, or I get some silver, quarter ounce gold. But comex is being used as a place to buy it, sort of like the Fed, the New York Fed in Die Hard 3, right? They store the gold there, but they don't really sell it there. They're just holding the gold. And in this case, so what do you there's no silver to buy. And so what are they doing? So they're doing an order to take delivery of their silver at 57.12. But there isn't any silver to buy at 57.12. So this is very perplexing here. Greg and John, how long you been doing YouTube? Well, if you go to my on here, you can see older videos. I'm going to say at least probably 10 years. My Teaser King's been up 16 years. So if you go to teaserking.com, you'll see it. It's about 16 years. But that's because they didn't really have the computers and the internet much earlier. So I was trying to do like an 800, 900 number in like the 1980s to do this. But once the internet came out, and then I did a Teaser King website. So that's been at least 15 to 20 years. And this has probably been, a long time. I mean, because you can see all my videos. I think I got 1,100, and they're all dated, and they go back many years. And I have a lot of good predictions, Super Bowl, draft analysis, stuff like that. I'd say the last 6 or 7 years, I've been adding economics to it because I always knew economics, but when am I going to talk gold and silver? It's not doing anything. And now I talk gold and silver because it's an important thing. It saves you guys and us. It saves everybody a great deal of money by getting out of the dollar and that. So hearing what I hear from all the rest of these idiots on YouTube, I'm very much needed because people do not understand what's happening. They don't understand the why, which is the beginning of my thesis here today. So you got to really understand what's going on, but nobody explains it. They'll just say, "Well, there's strong demand for silver." Well, why? Why is there strong demand? Oh, it's industrial, it's military. No, that's bullshit. That's not enough to really cause this. This is caused by the dollar losing all its value because it's being inflated, not debased. I hate that because you can debase this. You can take all the gold out of this and debase it. That's what the Romans did. They took the gold out of this and therefore made it worthless, right? So that's debasement. There's no gold in this to debase. I don't know why they call it debasement. This is not being debated. It's being inflated. It's being printed and it loses value because there's too much of it. And the petrodollar ended and all the dollars are coming back and the FX transactions ended pretty much where BRICS is trading amongst themselves and not using the dollar. So all those dollars are coming home, which is causing massive inflation, which means it's not worth anything. And your only option is gold and silver. Who else is explaining that? So that's really my need. But yeah, I graduated in '95 with the major was corporate finance, and I had about 4 or 5 Austrian economic classes. So to me, it's a minor in that. But the way I understand it, it's I did a thesis on how the trade cycle of the Austrian economy affects the stock market. So that's my level of expertise. It's cold out here. Yeah, I went for my walk. I go about 9:00, 9:15, and it was very cold. I wear another sweatshirt with the hood, and then I got my. It's pretty much a winter coat, and then I wear my gloves. So it's I go probably a mile and a half and then back, go out a mile and a half it's probably a mile and a half back and forth, but I'm out there about a half hour and it's, I can't wait to get in, but it's unseasonably cold. When I walked the other day, I think Tuesday, it was very mild out. I walked the lake and it was very mild out. Yeah, I was going to show you the picture of the lake. So the lake the other day, if I didn't show you, yeah, so that's what the lake looked like, all the snow, and then half of that snow until the water is water, and then the water, and that's a different view of it. So there's a lot of snow, and then that first half is over water, and then you can see the water there. So that was the lake. It was pretty mild that day. Didn't mind it at all. So again, I see this as well. The football I've always tried to do for Teaserking, and instead of working, that was my initial goal. But with my background in the Austrian economics and money and gold and all that inflation, I wanted to also stress that. And I'm really just trying to make people aware. Again, going to the initial argument today is how, why are you buying this stock or this or that? Why is comex even around? Why is it even there? It's a ponzi scheme. Why are we using paper to price physical? I can't believe there isn't a physical price, a real physical price. It just blows my mind. No, let's use comex, and I can kind of see it now is to keep the price down so banks, Putin, and people like that can buy it cheap. So now I start understanding why there's comex. It's to be able to afford to get it cheap. We keep looking at it reverse. Well, we have it. Why isn't the price going up? So we keep waiting for the price to go up versus waiting for versus, so we're going, well, we got 500 ounces of silver. When's it going to 100? But yet people still want to buy it. So really, step one is keep the price down so we can buy it. but we won't tell anybody. So nobody really knows. They're all in Bitcoin and stocks, real estate trust. They're buying real estate to protect themselves when the evil is the dollar itself is the evil because it's not worth anything. Of course, they don't tell you that. So it's kind of like that, which is why there is comex in my mind, is because um, the Putins and even Hitler knew gold's value, right? And China and Japan and all India and Saudi Arabia, they all know the value of gold and silver. So therefore, they're like, fine, keep the price down. I mean, why else would there not be a physical price of gold? It makes no sense. You go to the grocery store, there's steak. The price of steak is $15 for a New York strip. That's the price. Okay, but who doesn't have a real price of gold and silver? So they think they kind of keep us like a magician. Look over here, not at gold. Oh, look at Bitcoin, or buy stock, buy Amazon and Apple. Look there, but don't look at gold and silver. And now finally, it's the magician no longer has you looking there. Bitcoin's dropping. The stock market's going to crash. The real estate is going to crash. The dollar is going to crash. And now the magicians run out of hands. And now we're all looking at, hey, how about this gold and silver? Oh, you don't want to buy that. You go to your financial planner. You don't want to buy that. You want to stay in stocks because that's where I get commission. And we get that from Attack on Wall Street when he's about to kill the guy the guy's about to get killed at the end, the Home Alone guy. And he's in there and the guy, he says, you bought me, you told me to buy this real estate trust. He says, we did it for the commissions, we do it for the commissions. And there you go. That's what Wall Street is. It's a bunch of banks, and because you don't know who to listen to or why, you don't know why you buy Amazon stock. I was talking to a girl at the club about Bitcoin. And why are you buying it? Because it's 100,000. But why would you buy it? Well, because it's going up. I'm gonna make money. I don't know why I'm gonna make money, but I'm gonna make money on it. And I just laughed at her, going, "It's not backed by anything. It's not real. It's digital, which means show me what a Bitcoin looks like, and don't show me the gold Bitcoin. That's gold. That's not Bitcoin." I love how they try to do that too. So people don't know what they're doing, and then they ask salesmen who are lying through their teeth to just get their commissions and don't give a shit about you. Yeah, no, buy Apple stock, buy Amazon, buy Microsoft, Tesla, whatever. What's the value of the stock? Well, of course, you're not going to ask that because you don't know. What's the value of the company? Well, per share, it's about $75. What's the stock price? 300. Why would I want to be in that stock that's worth $75 with the stock price of 300? Yeah, probably not the smartest move. And so that's where they get you, and you start making money. So you don't question why. You don't question when to get out. You don't question the dollar, the inflation. You don't question anything because you don't even know the questions to ask. I love that when I'm in an interview and they say, "You have any questions?" I don't know what questions to ask right now. Again, I'm fifth dimensional, 5 steps ahead of them. So it's hard for me to ask questions that I don't know what to ask until I get into the job and I start, where's your general ledger? And nobody knows. So that's really what the biggest problem people face is. Even in football, I am very adamant about explaining why we're betting what we're betting. And even the games we don't bet, I'm very adamant about explaining it, right? Let's look at Troy and James Madison, and James Madison's 22, favored by 22 with an over under 47.5. Well, I'm going to give you reasons to bet or not bet the game so you understand why you're betting it. Well, James Madison's an A team with a 16 defense, and Troy's an E team with the 23 defense, and James Madison's going to try to get into the playoff if they can beat out Tulane and North Texas. Those are your two problems. So they need the game. but you understand why. I gave you Ohio State, Indiana. So let's walk through that. That's your free play. Well, I'm not just giving you the game, I'm explaining why you're going to bet the game. It's a two good defenses, two strong A teams. And Indiana runs a lot. Ohio State wants to pass a little bit, but against Michigan, they ran it down their throat with Bo Jackson Jr. So we're looking at the game, and we really don't know. We're like, should I take Indiana? But it's 4.5. Well, we'll look at it today. Indiana is, Ohio State's 4.5-point favorites. So if you're just looking at it and you talk to a handicapper, or you're in Caesar's Palace or wherever making the bet, and you go to a guy, who do you like in the game? Oh, I like Ohio State. They're really good. Is that the reason to bet them? Well, wait, Indiana's really good. Do you like Indiana? Why play a teaser? Oh, because I get 10.5 if I take Indiana, or I take Ohio State plus 1.5. Improves my odds to win. That's why we play teasers. That 6 points, when played properly, you cut out the loser and you make more money. And so then I break it down into, well, look at the defenses, a 7 and 11. How many guys have told you that Ohio State has a 7 defense? None. Because they don't even know that's the important part, is how strong is. So will Indiana be able to move the ball in Ohio State's defense? Probably not. Will Ohio State be able to move the ball in Indiana's defense? Probably little, but not great, because Indiana's got a strong defense. So good defenses can offset the offense. And then I take you to the history. Well, Indiana beat Oregon 30-20 in Iowa. Those were the two tough defensive games, and they were low scoring. And Ohio State had a weak schedule. They beat Washington, and they beat Texas with the good defense and a low scoring game, and Michigan with a low scoring game. So the three decent teams they played, who has pretty good defenses, was low scoring games. And the same with Indiana. So that's how you come to the conclusion. Well, based on that, it'll probably be low scoring. We're looking at the defenses. The defenses should control the offense. This is not a game you're going to get 70 points in. And therefore, we go under in the game as the best way. So you understand, now you can go bet the game knowing why you're betting the game. Yeah, that makes sense. Good defense, low scoring, get them against other ones. Yeah, I'm going to go under with it. But that's the point of it. That's what you're trying to do. So when you're looking why you're buying gold, why are you in the stock market? Well, you want to make money, because money's needed to buy things. So it gets all the way back to the medium of exchange. You get paid in money and you use that money to spend it. But the government isn't supposed to ruin the money as they're doing now. They're overprinting it. So you're ruining the money, government. Thank you very much. And you're going to need to replace this dollar with a new dollar, and it has to be backed by gold or silver, or it's going to be the same monopoly money. And that's what Zimbabwe did it 7 or 8 times. Wheelbarrow full of money. Venezuela, Russia is on their 8th ruble. China, probably their 5th or 6th one. India, all these countries come out with new currency that doesn't work, only if it's backed by gold, which is why BRICS is doing that. So now you understand, hey, the dollar is worthless. I got to get out of it. But who's going to explain that to you? So basically, that's my spiel. I try to explain so you understand why you're doing it, because you should only do things that you know about. You want to ask a girl out? Why? Well, she's pretty. Yeah, but is she nice? Is she, going to treat you right, or is she not going to treat you right? That's what you really want to know. There's a lot of attractive women. It's the women that get you, that you can talk to, that you're comfortable with, that it works. So just because they're pretty, there's some pretty women that it doesn't work with. So why are you asking the girl out? Well, she's pretty. But that's just to get to, is she nice or is she not? And that's why you ask them out. That's why I want to meet Daria, No, no, we talk every day. We talk today, of course, on WhatsApp where we text each other, and the texts are very nice. Now, when I meet her, I'm hoping maybe in January. If not, we'll see. But I don't. There's nothing else I can do. I can't force her to meet me, but I don't think it's because she doesn't want to. I think it's because of the war and she has problems with the daughter and things like that. So we will see. But if I want to be with her, then I got to wait. Otherwise, I don't have to be with her. So again, there's little confusions. It's not confusion. It's just a little. You got to be patient, right? So we'll see. But not the end of the world. That's why you make other friends, other girlfriends to, okay, you don't want to do that? Well, I'll do it with her. So that's what you do. But you have a reason for everything. There's got to be a reason to make a decision, which comes down to decision making. Why did you make that decision over the other decision? And that's really what you're trying to do. All right, we'll come back. There's a silver video or two I want to show you. Gold 4209 and silver basically 57. Basically, why is it under 58? Why would it possibly go down? Again, it's to buy it cheap. This is setting the price so people can buy it because they use this price to price physical, which is a joke. It's totally illegal. It's totally corrupt. It's totally a joke. Physical should be priced by physical, not paper. And that's what this is. This is a joke, but we understand they're keeping the price down so people can buy it. Now, that only works while there's still metal left because people will want to buy it off of Comex. That's why it still exists and it's going away soon because when they run out of metal, nobody is going to buy it from there. Nobody's going to pay attention. And then China and Russia will start doing the pricing of physical and they're going to want it much higher. All right. Let me know if you have questions or comments, please. All right. So let's start with pros because we have the Thursday night game and we don't have anything. We have Friday. Friday, there's 4 college games. And then on Saturday, there's 5. So there's 9 college games this weekend. I have one college lot going and about 5 or 6 picks. And pros, I've put my picks in. So if you go to teaserking.com, roundabout for me this morning, and so I sent him the password, and then he's all set to go. But most of the picks are in. I'll have more picks coming up. We got the Lions in Dallas. Let's look at the NFL injury update. St. Thomas is questionable for the Lions, the wide receiver. The Lions might have star wide receiver St. Thomas, who was listed as questionable. I think this is yesterday's. Mike Evans returned to practice for Tampa. Deshaun Watson, he's as bad as Primetime Junior. KC, their left tackle, is on injured reserve. Daniel Jones gets help from ex-Duke teammates with 3D printing pad for injured leg. 3D printing pad. Printed pad. J.J. McCartney practices on track to return against Washington. Makes you want to bet Washington. I can't believe they're still using this clown, McCarthy. But they don't have anybody. I think the other guy's hurt too, Wentz. T. Higgins, limited in practice. Jalen Daniels, a limited participant in practice. It's his left elbow. I don't know why he's not playing. So St. Thomas is questionable. All right. So Detroit is 354.5. That line hasn't changed. Dallas, an over team with the 28 defense. Detroit, an over team with the 25 defense. Now, this is based on last 5, not the full year stats. And by that, I mean the point totals for points for and points against. That's how I come up with the grades, and that's how I come up with the defensive number 25. That's what they give out. Now, it's an average, but it gives you okay, how good is their defense? You're really looking at how good is their defense. And you're looking at, will Dallas be able to move on this defense? Well, they put 24 up on Philadelphia, so I'm not really worried about that. Even if St. Thomas plays for the Lions, he's got a bad ankle, which means he'll probably shoot up like in North Dallas 40. He won't feel anything till Chapman hits him in the nose and breaks his nose. So will we get points in the game? Probably. This is your free play. So the free play I'm giving you is take Dallas plus the 9. Detroit with a very weak secondary. Hendrickson is not playing well. Their defensive end, who broke his leg last year, he's always huffing and puffing. He's not doing anything. He's not, they're blocking him with the tackle, and he's not even getting in there. You got the lucky sack against the Giants because Winston ran into him. Not that he did anything. So let's do a score here. I'm going to go with Dallas 30, Detroit 20. The total on the game is 54.5. What really scares me is the Dallas 5-man front that they've been using, that they used against Philly and KC, and it's making a tremendous difference. I mean, KC couldn't move that much on them, and Philly was up 21-0 and then had struggled. So once this new defensive set's getting familiar, they brought in about 5 guys from the trade deadline and added them to the team, and they're all a lot of good defensive players, and they're all over the place, and people just aren't used to how to attack it. And so Detroit's got problems. They won't be able to run on Dallas, and once you take the run away from Detroit, they're all done. St. Thomas won't. How effective is he going to be, even if he plays with a sprained ankle that he's very limited in practice on? Williamson, the other fast wide receiver, okay, he'll get a little. How much time is Golf going to have when they put 5 men in to rush him, right? So that's the issue. And Golf is, he's not good. You're seeing the real Golf. Okay, they score a little bit on the Giants with their 28 defense. And then last week against Green Bay, 31-24. But it's giving up the 31. That is my concern to Jordan Love. So if we watch the Lions, so they struggled. Um, what was the game before the Giants? So if we look at the Lions, the last five, so they lost 16-9 to Philadelphia. And then against the Giants, they gave up 27 and went to overtime. And then last week, they gave up 31. Now, before that, they gave up 27 to J.J. McCartney and 22 to Marcus Mariota. So Philadelphia, as we know, is having problems offensively. But if we focus on the Giants and Green Bay, and the Giants with it wasn't even Jackson Dart, it was Winston. So Winston and Mariota is lighting you up. These quarterbacks stink. And then before that, you had J.J. McCarthy. So they're giving up 27, 22, 27, 31. What do you think Dallas is going to do with Dak, who's playing well, and Pickens and CeeDee Lamb and a tight end, and they're running okay, and the Lions with no secondary and no pressure on the quarterback. Hutchinson's not doing anything. So that's the point of this exercise. And when we look at Dallas, they put up 31 on a good KC defense. They put up 24 on a good Philadelphia defense, 33 on a crappy Oakland team, 24 on Denver, and they lost to Arizona, putting up 17. Dallas does that. They went to Chicago and got killed. And you're like, what? So sometimes they pull this, but then the wins against Philly and KC, that's what the change in the defense. So that's what that did. So when we look at it, Detroit's not going to stop Dallas from scoring, which makes them a very live dog, right? You go from 3, you get 9. You got 9 points in Dallas, a team that will put up at least 24 to 30 points on this team, maybe more, because there's no pass rush and they can't cover Pickens and Lamb. That's not going to happen. And the tight end. And by the way, they can still run on you. And the Lions have showed really very little defense. Decent effort against Green Bay, 31 points and 27 to Winston and the Giants. That's insanity. So if you can't even beat the Giants, you had to take them to overtime. So the last 3 games, the Lions aren't playing well. Their defense is horrible. I don't know why they like the defensive coordinator. He hasn't shown me anything. Are you going to blitz Dak? Maybe, but I'm sure he'll hit CeeDee Lamb on a quick route or Pickens. Can't cover both of them. We don't have the secondary. The Lions, I should say, don't have the secondary. But then on the other side, the Lions are in big trouble offensive line. Their center and 2 guards stink. Both their tackles are injured, but playing. And then the tight end, the top 2 tight ends are out. St. Thomas is injured. Will he, even if he plays, he's not going to be the same. Okay, Williamson, yeah. In the running, yes, Gibbs, very good. But is he going to get anything? When Dallas does the 5-man front, there's no way he's going to run. There's nowhere to run. And we don't have the offensive line to open up holes. All right, against the weaker teams, Washington and the Giants, they did. This is Dallas, who is getting better defensively. They're giving up points. They're a 28 defense. So the over could also be a play, but I'm looking at it. It's far more probability that Dallas wins the game, or at least it's a close game. And we're taking the dog. Will it get over? I don't know. Dallas's defense is looking very strong with this 5-man. They switched to a 5 defensive man front. And that's going to give Golf all sorts of trouble with pass rush and stopping the run. So you see Gibbs, look at the Gibbs. Gibbs didn't break anything against Green Bay. Micah Parsons shut him down. And you got the same thing with Dallas with these new guys who are very strong. really shut down Kansas City a little bit. And Philadelphia, it was 21-0, and then they shut them down the last three quarters. So I think they're figuring out this defense. And it's funny, it's that Matt Eberflus who the Bears fired is the defensive coordinator. I never heard of the guy. I don't know he's a good defensive coordinator or not, but he's got the defense playing a little better, even though it's still a 28 defense versus Baltimore's 17 or Philadelphia's 15 and Seattle's 15. What's Philadelphia? Philly's an 18. So you have those different defenses. But why do I look at defenses? Because you is team A going to drive on team B, right? What's the point? You're going to whoever scores the most wins. If I have the ball and I got a 15 defense or 17 or Ohio State 7, am I going to move the ball on them? No, you're going to have a hard time moving against a strong defense. Am I going to be able to move on your team? Yeah, you've got a 20. Well, in this case, you got let's say Washington, a 31 defense. They're going to move on Washington because their defense is so poor. Now, it's not every game, and it depends on the matchup. Washington's playing Minnesota. Minnesota is not going to light up Washington, even though it's a 31 defense, because J.J. McCarthy's terrible. How you thought he was any good because he won the national title at Michigan, which is basically handing the ball off to the running backs who in that championship game against Washington, they had 4 long runs for touchdowns. He didn't throw anything. He's terrible. So that's why we're looking at the defense. So in this case, though, with Detroit with the 25, and it's Winston, Mariota, and last week Love lighting them up. That's pretty bad quarterbacking. So what you going to do against Dak? Now I'm not a big Dak fan, but I think now that they have Lamb and Jesus Christ, I keep losing the name Pickens. I don't know why I lose Pickens. There's some players I can't think of their names. But with Lamb and Pickens and a weak secondary and no pass rush, he should have a good game. So therefore, Dallas should be a very strong dog. I've given you a 30-20. The over is probably good, but the Dallas defense is scaring me a little because Detroit won't be able to run the ball. And then it's golf throwing. And then with St. Thomas with the injury, maybe he can play. And Williamson, okay, so they got one receiver, no tight ends, and maybe he'll throw to the running backs. Okay, but that's it. They're not really strong, missing a couple of people and Jared Goff, who stinks, but it's the offensive line. Dallas will be in all day knocking him down, so he won't be able to throw the ball to Williamson and Brown or St. Thomas. So that's really the synopsis of why you're betting it. Weak offensive line by the Lions, Jared Goff, weak secondary, and I got really strong receivers, Pickens and Lamb for Dallas against the weak secondary and Dak, who can move around. And they can run, and they got a good offense. So there's just the matchup favors Dallas in this game. That's why you're betting it. So that's your free play. All right. Baltimore 642.5 to Pitt. It was 44. Now it's down to 42.5, 43. Pitt's an under team with the 22 defense. Aaron Rodgers with the broken left hand is, you can see he's, being careful with it. Baltimore, I don't know. A B team with the 17. Apparently, Lamar it's either these games are fixed or he's regressed to a 5-year-old. He's terrible. He's throwing passes into the ground. He's overshooting receivers. He's terrible. Is he going to get better against Pitt? Well, Pitt, I don't know. They're not the same team. They're kind of they don't score a lot, and they have a decent defense. And in 1 week they beat Team A, and the next week they go to San Diego and get killed, and they beat New England. I mean, it's all over. Then he get killed by Buffalo. So I don't know which team shows up. I don't know. After watching Lamar, he hasn't impressed at all. Even the game they won against Cleveland was tight. They were losing. He threw 2 or 3 picks in the game, a pick six. So it's really tough. Last week they got killed by Cincinnati and Joe Burrow. What was that? So that was really bad. So anyway, that's a tough game. That's now we're on Sunday. The Pitt Baltimore. No more of these stupid London games, or let's go to the why aren't they playing the Egypt and the pyramids? Let's go play there. All right, Indy Jacksonville. Indy 1.5, 47.5. And they're an E team with a 22 defense. They've been playing better competition and losing and not playing as well. And Jacksonville is actually an A team the last 5 games. They're scoring and giving up 20 points a game. So this is not your normal Jacksonville team. This is like they're an A team. And it's not because Trevor Lawrence, he stinks. They're running the ball more. They're getting better defense with the 20 defense. So I looked at who are they beating, and they beat Kansas City and San Diego. And you're like, oh, they didn't just beat New Orleans and Miami. Greg and John. They can have Geno Smith. I hate the banks, TK. They limited my funds to send on YouTube. Can't send you a tip. Well, send it on Venmo or PayPal then. That would be fine. Just send me if you have Venmo or PayPal, or just go to the site, teaserking.com, and just do a $25 thing and send it. Or if you just go on to YouTube or go on to just go on to PayPal and just say $10 and send it as friends and family and use my email address that you get on Teaser King, you can do that. I mean, that's perfectly fine. But why are they limiting your funds on YouTube? Awesome job, TK. Thank you, Greg and John. So, yeah, I mean, that's the thing. I don't know. It's the banking system. It's all these countries are going broke real quickly. That's the problem, right? They're all going broke. They're all going to war. The reason you go to war is to steal the gold and silver and oil and minerals from the other countries. That's why you go to war, or to protect your own interests. So why did Hitler go to war? It was to steal the gold and silver from Austria and Poland and Czechoslovakia. That's what he did. He went to the central banks, stole their gold because they were broke. Sound familiar? He went to Russia to get their oil because he had no oil, and he needed land because it's the million-year right with the Nazis. He went to North Africa to get their oil. So that's what he was trying. He was a thief. He was mafia. He just went to steal things. That's the war. We're doing the same thing now. Obviously, Canada's broke. All the countries are broke because they're all running the same. Oh, I'll just keep printing money and printing and printing and printing until it's worthless. And they're all doing it. So any money's like that. That's why we own silver and gold, because they can't fuck us. Anyway, go back here. So, all of a sudden Jacksonville's an A team. Again, we don't really know much about Indy and Jacksonville. We know Houston's got the awesome defense. So we're sitting here going, and we're seeing that. And I think it's definitely a different thing. Let me see something here. Okay. I see I have 3 locks going. Oh, no, I have 2. I sometimes get duplicates. Okay. I got 2 locks going. I got a pro lock college long. I was just saying if I played this Jacksonville Indy game, and I haven't. I do want to play it, but I didn't yet, so I will. Um, so again, Jacksonville an 18 with a 20 defense, which means they're playing strong, they're scoring, and they're playing good defense. So they're playing a real game and beating Kansas City and San Diego, and then Indy an E team with a 22. So they're not scoring as much. They're figuring out, hey, let's stop Jonathan Taylor and let Daniel Jones beat us, which he can't. And they got a 22 defense. Their defense has always been Indy's Achilles. So that's what you have. So I think that's a pretty even game there. Okay. New Orleans at Tampa. Tampa 8.5, 41.5. New Orleans is Z team. They don't score at all. No quarterback. Tyler Shaw, 21 defense. And Tampa Bay is an E team with the 26. Their scoring went down a little because of all the injuries to the receivers and the backs, but they're getting them back. Mike Evans might play. He had the broken collarbone. Godwin, I think, is getting close. Ibaka has been doing a lot. They're running back. They're getting back. So they're starting to make the push. They need the game. They're tied with Carolina of all teams. So they really need the game, and they're a much better team. Now, this is a game you bet early because you don't want to let it go to 10, and now you're laying 4. The key number here is keeping it under 3. So you do want to play Tampa and lay the 2 there. That's trying to get under key numbers. 3 because they kick field goals, 7 because they score touchdowns. I don't understand this 5.5. Oh, they go for 2. Well, yeah, that's why the coaches keep getting fired, right? Miami at the JETSs. Miami 341.5. Miami's an under team. They've been running Acne a lot from Texas A&M. An under team with a 17 defense. And the JETSs are becoming an over team with the 27. They're starting to score with Tyrod Taylor. That's why the quarterback matters. The weather shouldn't be bad. I wrote the weather down. We'll go through the weather also. The real only bad game, there's no heavy winds or snow. Green Bay's 12 degrees on Sunday. So we got to figure out how to play that. It should be tough. But as I pointed out in the Ice Bowl, it was 16 below in Green Bay against Dallas, 1967. That score ended up 17-14. So it was a 31 or 21-17. No, I think. No, it was 21-17 or something like, or maybe 24-21. I know Green Bay was down 3. I think they were down 7. I know Green Bay scored 2 touchdowns in the first half. So 17-14. So I think they won 21. So it's still a 38. It was 16 below. This is a 44 just when we get there. So, the Jets are going to score. So that makes them a live dog. Miami's kind of weak anyway. They don't score a lot. They got a pretty good defense, which we question. So we'll see. But with Tyrod Taylor, the Jets are playing better. So that's why the quarterback's critical. Washington goes to Minnesota. Minnesota 242. Now we have Daniels possibly playing in this game. I don't know. He wants to play in the game. So we'll see if he plays, but we've got J.J. McCarthy favored. That's ridiculous. They're both W teams. Washington gives up 31 a game and Mini 24. The 41.5 total. Washington looks pretty good sometimes. Their defense shows up sometimes. Against the Lions, they got Swiss cheese. Mariota, he seems to be able to score. In Minnesota, McCarthy's terrible. See, this shows you the initial question I brought in the thesis today was why? Why are you investing in the market? Why are you investing in gold and silver? Why are you betting Dallas against Detroit, and you got the answer, then you go, oh, okay, that's why I'm betting it. What made Minnesota pick JJ McCarthy? What, if you ask them, why did you take him? I'm sure they can't give you an answer. Well, because he was on Michigan and they won the title. Did you realize he did nothing but hand off at Michigan and he sucks? He's a terrible quarterback. Did you realize that before you drafted him? No. Did you actually watch him play at Michigan? Probably not. So they drafted a guy they didn't really know why they drafted him, which again, look what happens when you don't know why you do something, you're fucked. All right. So, we'll see. Keep an eye. We'll know if Jalen Daniels is playing or not. We should probably know today's Thursday. Tomorrow, we'll see. They should play him. Why not? This bullshit. Well, shut him down for the year. Why? Let him play. This is the season. Jesus. All right. Tennessee goes to Cleveland, and probably both teams could not win a game in the SEC. We got Cleveland 433.5 here. Just ridiculous. And not bad weather. It's 32 degrees there, which is hot for Cleveland. Tennessee is Z team with the 28, and Cleveland, I'm going to make a Z team. No, I'm going to make them an under team with the 24 because they're not going to score, but you got Myles Garrett. So, okay, good defense and basically no offense, right? So you're going to get low score. Tennessee doesn't score at all with a 28 defense, but you can't bet on Prime Jr. He's terrible. And then the question is, you can't bet on Cam Ward. So what do we do here? Do we ignore the game or do we find a total to take? And the total is 33.5, 34. And I think with Myles Garrett, I think that'll be a shutout. But with Prime Jr., I don't think they'll score. So I think it ends up being a 10-3 game or something like that, where Cleveland scores on a pick six or a punt return or something. The punt returner fumbles. It'll be turnovers, not offense in this game. I think the under is a appropriate play. Yes, it's 33-34. And then I know there's people, well, I don't bet unders because they're 34. Why? Why do you discount a game because it's a 34? I don't ever take the favorite. I don't ever it's just stupidity, right? If the game warrants this, and this is a game that you have a great Cleveland defense, will shut out Tennessee, and then it's Prime Junior, is he going to get you 40 points? There's no fucking way. So 33.5, 34 goes up to 40. Where are you going to find 40 points in this game? Like I said, it's going to be turnovers, pick sixes, punt returns, kick return. How many of those are you going to get in the game, right? Not too cold out. Again, we'll go to the weather after. So I honestly, I think this is a very good underplay. You got two shit quarterbacks. You've got a good defense. Tennessee, I don't know. They got a decent defense from what I see. And again, no offense with Cam Ward. In Cleveland, Myles Garrett's going to have 10 sacks. I mean, so they're going to try to run. Cleveland will run versus having Prime Jr. throw the ball too much. I don't know why Prime Jr. is still there unless Dylan Gabriel's concussion is just he can't play or they don't want to play him or whatever. All right, Cincinnati, Buffalo. Buffalo, 5.5, 53.5. So I looked at the weather here. It's 25 degrees, but no wind. There's no wind anywhere this week as of now. And there's really no snow. It's just, but even in Buffalo, 25. Well, Cincinnati plays in cold weather. So it's not a big deal. Buffalo, it's their home, so it's not a big deal. They played Pitt. It was cold, and that was a low scoring game, which I was going to take it over, and I just didn't play it. I was waiting to hear about Aaron Rodgers. Unfortunately, I didn't play the over last week. But this week, Cincinnati, an over team with a 33 defense. So Burrow's back. It does help the defense because if you're going 3 and out or you're throwing interceptions, you're going to score. You're going to give the other team the ball more, and they're going to score more, especially if you throw a pick six or something like that. With Burrow going on longer drives and running the ball more and completing and scoring, it actually makes the defense much better. Because if I'm going to go on a 5-minute drive, that's 5 minutes. My defense isn't on the field. In 5 minutes, they're not scoring on me. And with Joe Burrow, he's going to do this 5 or 6 times. Buffalo doesn't have a good defense. Buffalo's 22 defense, but yeah, they held KC to 21, but otherwise, yeah. So I just see it as Joe Burrow back. I think they're a live dog with Joe Burrow. And I think this game should go over with Joe Burrow and Josh Allen. The weather, not too bad. T. Higgins, I don't know if he's playing, but I think he wants it in there because Joe Burrow's back, but he's got Chase. He's got Iovias, or whatever the guy's name is. So, and they got a guy who's like a great receiver. I saw in the preseason, who's like the fourth stringer, and the guy would start on half the teams. So this is a game that should be high scoring, and I think since we saw them against Baltimore, now they're not going to get the same defense that they did against Baltimore because Lamar can't throw, where we know that Josh Allen can, and Josh Allen's going to get you touchdowns. So definitely should go over, and definitely Cincy is a live dog here. So you got two ways. Seattle at Atlanta. Seattle 744.5. At Atlanta, you got Kirk Cousins, who's terrible, and Seattle with Darnold, who, if it's not a big game, he plays well. Seattle an A team, 15 defense, and Atlanta an E with the 24. So this is pretty easy one here. Just go Seattle. Denver at Oakland. Denver 7.5, 40.5. Denver, the B team with the 18 defense, and Oakland, who are they? They're a Z team with the 25 defense. Again, pretty logical. The Rams, Arizona, the Rams 847.5. The Rams are an A team with the 14 defense. Arizona W with a 31 defense. How much fun will Stafford have against the 31 defense? Also, you have them off of the loss, but they don't have to fly cross country. They had beaten Seattle. They played some big games, and they get to Carolina. Okay, and it's a long flight. They looked tired last week, but a loss will cure that because now they'll get pumped up and they want to stay ahead of Philadelphia. I mean, they're 9-3. The Bears are 9-3. God, the Bears are 9-3. So the Eagles 8-4. So they want to get the 1 seed. So they'll be, after one loss, but then they'll come back. A good game. The Bears go to Green Bay. We got Green Bay 6.5, 44.5. Weather 12 degrees, as I stated. The Bears are an over team with the 24 defense, so they do score a lot. They've been running the ball. They ran for 250 yards on Philadelphia. Oh, my God. Lions couldn't do that. So we will see. Green Bay is really an under team. Not much offense and a 15 defense. They lost at home to Carolina 10-7, and then they lost to Philly. Or Carolina was 16-13 in there. So Carolina is a little better than we think. They just beat the Rams. They beat Green Bay, even though we're kind of laughing at them. Like, look at what they're doing. They're off this week, Carolina. Well, we'll have to take them a little more serious. But I think it's partly because the teams aren't taking them serious. Green Bay, oh, yeah, well, we got Philadelphia next week, and the Rams coming off of a couple of key wins, traveling all the way across country. So I think Carolina is not that good, but they're getting that. So, I think the Bears are a live dog here because until they show me otherwise, you just went into Philly and beat the shit out of them. Okay, they had lost to Baltimore and they got killed by Detroit. Wait for that second Detroit game. Detroit doesn't have a chance. So I think you got a total of 44.5 also. I don't know what the weather's going to do. You got 12 degrees, so it's going to be cold. How does that affect it? Well, the Bears are going to run it down your throat. Micah Parsons on defense. I don't know. You know, I don't know what to do because I don't know that the Bears are going to just light them up, and then I don't know what you're going to do with Green Bay. Also, Love, I think, will have a little bit of trouble in the cold weather, and Green Bay doesn't really run it well. Josh Jacobs has been hurt, so I don't know how good the Bears' defense is. Oh, they beat Philadelphia last week. It's hard because Philadelphia doesn't have an offense. The Bears won yeah, 24-15, but it wasn't 12 degrees out. And we go back a week to the Bears against Pittsburgh. They won 31-28. So it's confusing because, the Philadelphia doesn't have an offense, but that was still, they scored on them. So again, I think it might be the Bears, might be a live dog. I don't know over under. If we look at the temperature, maybe it's an under 50. It's a high total for this temperature, 44. But the Bears do score, and Green Bay will. I mean, they normally will score. And how much do we look at 12 degrees? All right, Houston, KC 3.5, 42. Houston, an under team with a 19 defense. CJ Stroud was back last week, I believe. KC, an E team with the 21. They've been struggling. Mahomes is fine. There's some offensive line problem. Kelsey looks old, and their other receivers, Rice and who's the Worthy? No, Worthy. Yeah, maybe Worthy. But they're not. They're fast receivers, but they don't really get open. They don't really do much. Smith Schuster's okay. He's old, and then you just have really no running. Pacheco and Hunt. So it's all Mahomes. So they're seeing that. I think KC's a little bit weaker defensively. They're okay, but they keep losing their players because, um, when you pay a lot for Kelsey, you're giving up. You can't sign your defensive players. So they do have the one defensive tackle. I keep calling him Neil Smith. I forget his name. And then I think McDuffie, the cornerback. So you have some players, but it's not as deep. So I Houston again. They're 28-3 in a teaser, 12-0 this year. So I think they're a very live dog in this game. They need the game. They're a game behind Jacksonville and Indy, and KC's struggling. They went to Baltimore and killed Baltimore. Now it was with Cooper Rush, but in our last game, Philadelphia 40.5 to San Diego. Philly an under team with an 18 defense. San Diego a B team with an 18 defense. Herbert broke his hand also, like Aaron Rodgers. We'll see. And I don't know how you can play Philly in this game. I don't know what would make you play Philly. I don't know what you see in them. They're both 18 defenses, so probably a low-scoring game. Philly's not scoring. They couldn't score on the Bears. And then they're going to struggle against San Diego's defense. And then San Diego, should struggle a little. It's Monday night. So there you go. Your free play is Dallas, Detroit. Go Dallas and 9. You could play it over, but we'll see. I mean, it's I'm worried about the Dallas defense more than anything, but they did play KC to a 31-28 game. So I think you probably will get points in this game. But I think Dallas and 9 is the way to go. I don't see them getting blown out here. I see them winning more than that. All right, let's go to college. And college ball. So this is the conference championship games week. I don't know why they have it. I don't know how meaningful it is. So What's the reward for Alabama, Georgia to play in the game? What's the reward for Ohio State, Indiana to play in the game? I mean, there's no reward for that. If Ohio State, they're the number one team, undefeated in the country. If they lose, all right, Indiana's now the number one team, but Ohio State's still a strong team. I don't know the point of this conference championships. Alabama, Georgia. If Alabama loses, they might not be in the playoff because they'll have 3 losses. Well, but what's the reward for them? In other words, this should be a normal playoff setting. Alabama and Georgia, the winners should go into the playoffs. It should just be like the NFL. You can't have so if Georgia wins, how does that benefit them? It doesn't. There's no benefit here at all. It doesn't. What better seedings in the playoffs? I mean, Georgia's a top 5 team. Alabama's like 10 or whatever. All right. I got to go back here. So our first game, Kennesaw State is now 2.5 and 59.5 against Jacksonville State. Who are these teams and why should I bet on them? Kennesaw State's a B team, 25 defense. Jacksonville State's an over team with a 26, total of 59. Probably goes over because you got two pretty good. You got Jacksonville State who's an over team and a B team, and Kennesaw State, which means they score. The defenses aren't too good. Who knows? I don't know. Let's see. I mean, I don't know what to do. I mean, do you want to take Kennesaw State and late and get 3.5 or Jacksonville State get 8? Who the hell knows? So you really don't have a clue on this game. All right. Troy and James Madison. James Madison, 23.5, 47.5. James Madison is a very strong A team. They're 11-1. I think their loss was to South Florida, who runs it down their throat. Troy is kind of a weak team. They're an 18 with a 23. They're nothing special. They did beat Southern Miss to get into this, and James Madison an 18 with a 16 defense. I don't know. It's tough. I think James Madison's the play, but you got to lay 23 down to 6 to 17. I don't know. It's a tough play. It's a conference championship game. So James Madison is ranked 25. So they could be the top. The top team now is Tulane and North Texas play each other in the AAC. So Tulane would be the team of 5. They're not going to beat the North Texas. So they're both ahead of James Madison. So it's going to be one of them's going to win. It's going to make James Madison. How do they jump over? So they got to win by a lot. So I think James Madison probably a good play. They're an A team. I don't know the name of the. Just give me the field. It won't tell me it's at James Madison, which I think it is. It's the Sun Belt Championship. Vegas and Boise. We've got Boise 4.5, 58.5. We've got Vegas an over team 28, Boise a B team 23. I looked at the weather. It's not terrible. It's like 40 and some rain, but it's not like you're going to get 5 degrees and the field covered in snow. Vegas an over team with a 28 defense, and Boise a B team with a 23 defense. They played once already, and I think Boise beat them. Let's get the score. Boise beat them 56-31, October 18th. So that right there makes me think this is an over game. Right. Vegas is a very high scoring team with a 28 defense, and this is a championship game, so they're gonna open it up. So definitely think there's points. Do you want to take Vegas in 10.5? Maybe. Um, but the over at 57 looks very tempting. North Texas and Tulane. North Texas 2.5, 67.5. North Texas an 18. They're a great team. 24 defense, great quarterback. Tulane's an E team with a 22 defense, and this is think I'm looking last five. Um, I mean, I'm shocked Tulane, the number 20 Tulane, playing in New Orleans at home, and they're a dog. They're a home dog to North Texas. So the total of 67.5, I think, is a little high because North Texas plays good defense. They're a 24 defense, and Tulane's a 22. Hardly defenses you want to go with the 67 on. That seems very high. So looking at that, I kind of, um, I don't know. I'm shocked. If North Texas was the dog, it'd be a lock. That'd be a 35 unit lock if North Texas was a dog. They're not, but I don't love Tulane. I don't want to really go against North Texas. Every time I bet them, I win. So I think North Texas is a good play. I think the over is too high at 67. So here's where I'm analyzing going. I don't think this game gets. Now that means 61 for us, but it's something in the 50s maybe, but that's a high number. Now maybe it gets there, but looking at North Texas plays some pretty good defense. I honestly don't. I think this game's in the 50s, but I don't know if you're going to get in the 60s. Probably will because North Texas scores a lot, but it's a good game. Again, I can't believe Tulane's the home dog and they're ranked 20th. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Prophet, good morning. Uh, do you think these conference championship games are still relevant now that there's 12-team playoff? Yeah, I already said I don't think they are. I think I don't get the purpose of it. Again, why are we playing it? Why are we betting? Why are we buying gold? Why are they playing it? It doesn't mean anything. And with this diluted Big Ten and SEC, where there's 17, 18, most of the conferences are now 16, 17 teams where most of the teams aren't playing each other. I think this is totally irrelevant. Nobody here is going to get into the playoff with the win, except maybe Texas Tech, BYU. I suppose if BYU won, that maybe puts them in the playoffs, but Texas Tech's probably a top two team. And North Texas Tulane is the winner going into the playoff. That's the only time it would make sense if the North Texas Tulane winner comes in and the Vegas Boise, if those winners were to come in. But they're in reasonable conferences where even in the Big 12, there's 16, 17 teams. The Big 10, I know, has 17. The SEC, I think, has 18. So they're meaningless, right? So what? If Alabama beats Georgia, they're in the playoff. If Georgia beats Alabama, Georgia's in the playoff, and maybe Alabama's out because they'll have 2 losses. Indiana, Ohio State means nothing. The winner will be number 1. The loser will be maybe number 3 or 4. They'll both be in the playoff. So in terms of getting into the playoff, they're meaningless for most of these teams. Now, does Virginia Duke winner get into the playoff? Then it's meaningful. But Duke's 7-5. They shouldn't even be in the playoff. And Virginia's 10-2. So to me, it should be the ACC champ gets in, but I think you got Virginia already in. So I really don't see. Maybe the Vegas Boise winner gets in, but I don't know that that's going to happen. And then North Texas Tulane winner. Okay, that makes sense. BYU Texas Tech. If Texas Tech ain't in, then it shouldn't have a playoff. But and this game's at Jerry Jones Stadium at Jerry World. But I don't really see it. Okay, Miami, Ohio plays Western Michigan. The winner doesn't get in the playoff. So I don't know that this Georgia's 11-1. They lose. They're still in the playoff, and Alabama gets in. I don't know. I don't, because they don't play. And let me look at Texas A&M. Didn't play anybody until the last week. They didn't play Oklahoma, Alabama, Georgia, Tennessee. They didn't play anybody good. A&M, but they were undefeated because they beat Notre Dame. They were getting credit. Notre Dame's not that good. They lost the 2 games and played nobody. Right? They played a bunch of Miami's and New Orleans and the crap team and Cleveland and Tennessee is who A&M played. A&M played, and they're getting rewarded for the bad schedule. Like Michigan got rewarded by winning the national title by not playing anybody that was good. They had the weakest schedule I ever saw. Too bad Alabama Milrose fumbled, or they would have beat them. I was hoping for Alabama that game. Anyway, so that's where I don't see it, because it's too diluted. You don't have the best teams. Oregon didn't play Ohio State, and some of these games they didn't play. Alabama was playing Georgia again. Alabama already beat them, so I don't get this game. So it's really doesn't have. There's no reason for it. All right. So we talked North Texas, BYU, Texas Tech, 12.5, 49.5. You got 2 A teams. You got BYU with the 17 defense, really good defense. Texas Tech and 11 defense. They played already, and Tech won like 26-7. Tech, I've seen when I've looked at them, they did play in some low scoring games to Utah, to BYU. BYU played in some low scoring games to Texas Tech and to Utah. So I think this is an under. You honestly, I don't think could take BYU an 18.5. Texas Tech's too strong. Texas Tech I like, but lean against 6.5. I'm not for sure. But the total of 50, that's an under. I think you end up looking at it going, where are you going to get the points from against these defenses? Now they both have good offenses, but that's where I come into understanding the overs. So if they were playing if Texas Tech was playing UNLV, UNLV's got a 28 defense. Yeah, I'm laying 20 and I'm going over in the game. But they're playing a 17 defense BYU. They're not going to just run up and down the field on them, and it's a championship game. So you're looking for a lot of strong defense being played here. So Texas Tech, I think you play them under. When they play Ohio State in the championship game, I think you just play them under there too. They're number 2. Texas Tech's the number 2 team in the country. Western is 2.5, 43.5. Miami of Ohio is a E team, 28 defense, and Western's an under team with an 18. What can I say there? Do we trust Miami? Are they a live dog, Miami of Ohio? It's in Detroit, which shouldn't matter. Western Michigan's 3 hours away. I don't know. I think this is an under game because both teams are pretty decent defenses and not a lot of scoring. They played a low scoring game when they played. Georgia against Alabama. Georgia 2.5, 47.5. Both are 18s, both with 16 defenses. I think Alabama's a live dog here, and I think I like the game over, not under, even though they have 16 defense. Georgia, 35-10 against Texas. High-scoring game against Ole Miss. A high-scoring game against Tennessee. Alabama they played each other 24-21. Alabama won, so it was a 45 there. And then you have Alabama against Oklahoma, a strong defensive team, and it was I think it was 24-20. I was a 44. And then last week, Alabama, Auburn with a strong defense still got 27-20 there. They still scored 47. Auburn can't score at all. So looking at what's happening, I think this is a over team. I think Alabama's going to pull out all stops. DeBoer, I like as a offensive mind, and they don't have the Nick Saban Steeler defense of the 70s. Their defense is a little bit less. I mean, they got burned on some easy plays by Auburn last week, So this is definitely 41, 21-20, not a problem. And like I said, they played a 24-21 game, but I think you're going to see points here. Georgia's gotten better offensively. The game of the day, Indy at Ohio State. Ohio State down to 4 and 48. Maybe you can still find 4.5s. They're both A teams. Indiana 11 defense, and Ohio State is 7. And where I take you to, this is the free play. We're going under. Good luck scoring on Ohio State. And the bigger the game, you can saw against Michigan, it was 26-9. It was a 30 game. This is 48.5. This is way too big of a number. Under 54. They're not going to score against each other. They're going to checkmate each other into very, you're not going to, you'll be kicking a lot of field goals. They're not just going to hit the Ohio State's going to hit that wide receiver. He's not going to be open if he even has time to throw. There'll be big pass rush, a lot of sacks, a lot of running, a lot of little play action, maybe some screens. So 48.5, I find this should be like a 41, 42. So 48.5, I'm going under 54.5. That's your free play. Watching Ohio State's defense, nobody scored on them. Now, granted, they didn't really play anybody. Texas, Arch Manning, he stinks. Penn State, they had a new quarterback. Michigan, what can I say with them? Their quarterback stinks. So they didn't really play the USC or the Oregon. Indiana did play the Oregon 30-20, but it really wasn't that because Indiana threw a pick 6. So it was really 30-13. So Oregon's only getting 13 points on them. Oregon with a good defense, but not that good. Then they went to Iowa, and Indiana beat Iowa, I think, 20-15. And that's what I'm seeing here. I'm seeing a Ohio State-Michigan game, an Indiana-Iowa game, maybe an Indiana-Oregon game, which is a 50 with a pick 6 in it, which still gets us a winner because this is 48-54. So this is a go under your free play. And to actually pick the winner, I would say Ohio State wins a close one, like 17-13 or something like that. Maybe they get to 20. Maybe it's 2017. It'll be a close game, I believe, but it will be an under game, I believe, more, unless you just have these strange pick 6s and punt returns and block punts. That's the only way this gets over. If it's just drive the ball down and punt the ball inside the 10 and now your turn, you're not getting points in this game. In our last game, Virginia-Duke, Virginia 4.5, 57.5. Duke an over team with the 29 defense, Virginia with the 18 with the 20 defense. Like Virginia here, the quarterback, Chandler Morris from North Texas, great quarterback, over 30 touchdowns, I believe. They handled Virginia Tech when they needed to. And you're getting points with them in a teaser. Duke doesn't give me any defense, so Virginia should light them up with the quarterback, and that's the key. So somebody doesn't respect me, say, well, you can't pick 10 games or you can't do this and that. I just fucking picked 9 games. I picked 8 of them. And in the pros, I picked, 12. The games aren't hard to pick. There's unusual circumstances that happen, but we know the reason why we're picking just about most of these games. We know why we're taking Ohio State under because you got 2 great defenses. We know why we're playing Dallas over Detroit because they're not going to stop Dallas's receivers, Detroit. Detroit has no offensive line, and what I just saw from the defensive front against Philadelphia and Kansas City by Dallas, Detroit ain't doing anything against that defense. They're 5-man defense, and they're doing games, and they look great. Number 0, I think, on Dallas looks like Micah Parsons. Dallas, they both need the game. It's a dog game all the way, Detroit. So I'm giving you reasons for everything. We're not just saying, bet Baltimore, bet Miami, bet Cleveland, and there you go. And I'm not going to tell you why. And that's a normal handicapper because he doesn't know why. He's just flipping a coin. The only coin I got which I don't flip as my gold coin. So keep that in mind. That's what you've got the understanding why you're playing it, right? Now, do they all win? No, of course not. But 75% of the time, and that's why I say these are my picks. Ohio State under and Dallas and 9 are my picks. Now you can put them in a teaser or put them in with other people, but that's the picks, and the picks go 75%. And the picks are played in more than one teaser. I got Ohio State under in 2 teasers. All right. So, and then I vary them. So you really can't even look at my percentage as much as you got to look at did I win the big games? And last week I won the big. When I lose, it's my big game doesn't come through. But when the big games come through, then we win a lot, and that's what we're looking for because we put them in multiple teasers. And again, the way you bet me is I'm giving you a lot of games. We're going to go 75%, and you're gonna lower the bets maybe 100, 200 a game with the $5,000 bankroll because you got to bet them all, right? You should be betting all my picks or most of them. But if I say it's 17 units, your unit might be $100, might be 150. It's got to be your bankroll, and then you're just seeing my picks, and then bet the locks a little bit higher because they're better picks, right? The Ohio State Indy games, that's a great pick. You want to bet that more than maybe the UNLV Boise game or the North Texas Tulane game. You don't want to lock that. You would if Tulane was favored. Greg and John, why not expand the playoff to 16 teams and play the first round this weekend? Yeah, I mean, that's where they're headed because they're starting to realize they make more money having a playoff game people are going to watch instead of having Air Force play North Carolina in a bowl game that nobody gives a shit about. So I think that's where it's headed. I don't like these big conferences like Michigan or the Big Ten with 16 teams is ridiculous. They're not playing each other. They should be an East and West or North South. So you break it into 8 and 8, where at least the 8 play each other. But you got too many teams and not enough games. In the NFL, you're playing 17 games now. And play your 6 within the division, Detroit, Chicago, mini Green Bay. So that's 6. And then you can go outside the division and you have enough sample that, okay, these are the playoffs based on the schedule. But in college, you got 17 games in the Big Ten, of which you're maybe playing 8 of them, right? Because you're only playing 11 game seasons, or maybe 12. 12. Indiana, Ohio State, 12-0. So you're playing 12 game seasons with 17 in the conference, and you got 3 out of conference games. So that means you're playing 9 games in conference, and there's 17 teams in your conference. How do you get a winner? You don't. Ohio State, Indiana, whoever wins is not the winner because they haven't played. They didn't play Oregon, USC, or things like that. Or Ohio State played Washington and Michigan. That's it. And Indiana did play Oregon, Iowa, I guess. No Michigan, no Ohio State, no USC. So it becomes you don't have a clue. So you really got to tighten up these. Now you're gonna have the Big 10 and Big 20, then have 4 divisions of 5, or maybe 2 of 8. Let's say so 16 teams, 2 of 8, and then the 8 can play the other 7, and then you actually get winners of each, and then now that would be meaningful. But yeah, I mean you can have so. Basically, you don't even need these conference championship games if you have it broken out. So if North winner and the South winner, you're in the playoff. And you go through, okay, SEC, you're in the playoff. And then you got the Big 12. You're both, you're in the playoff. The ACC, you're in the playoff. And then the at-large, okay, the Old Mississippi, Alabama and Georgia, okay, Old Miss and Oklahoma or Texas. I mean, you could easily have them both in the playoff, right? Oregon should be in. I don't know anybody else in the Big Ten that should be in. ACC, Miami's going to be left out. Notre Dame probably get left out. Here's Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Oklahoma, Texas. I mean, you can't have 5 teams from the SEC, but that's the problem. So there's no the regular season doesn't mean anything because you're really not breaking it into meaningful games. And what does the winner get? There's no end game, as that's the popular term now. There's no end game to the winning the Big Ten. You can't say you won it. Even Ohio State, because you didn't play everybody. You didn't play Ohio State. You didn't play Oregon SC. How can you be the winner? Indiana played Oregon, didn't play Ohio State, didn't play Michigan, didn't play, USC. How can you be the winner? Record-wise, you're the winner, but you haven't played all the teams to be the winner. At least, like in the NFC North, Detroit, Chicago, Minnesota, Green, they all play each other. So the winner is the winner. And that makes sense, but it's not the same in college because they were letting them play these high school games and these non-conference games. You got to throw those out because they're meaningless and usually they're crap games. Profit. Why the hell did they get rid of Pac-10 conference? None of this makes any sense to me. Well, that's because they didn't get a TV contract. They could make more. So USC and UCLA and Oregon and Washington jumped to the Big Ten because their TV, for some reason, didn't get a good TV deal. And therefore, they make more money switching to the Big Ten, and the other went to the ACC, Stanford and Cal. And then same thing with Oklahoma, Texas. Why did they go to the SEC? There was no reason. So they could have fought for the Big 12 crowd instead. They're just nobody there. Alabama and Georgia are the SEC, not Oklahoma and Texas. So, yeah, a lot of it doesn't make sense. It's a lot for money. It's like, why does comex go down when there's huge demand for silver? Why is silver down? Because it's fixed and they want to lower the price to buy it. Because they set the price with the options and derivatives, it's in their best interest to lower the price if you want to buy it. It's all about money. So that's why now you would have thought the Pac-10. I think the big problem with the Pac-10 is it's West Coast. So, at 1:00 we're watching Michigan, Ohio State, but USC, UCLA was like on at 8:00 at night. So their normal 1:00 game's 4, but their night game is on at 10 p.m. So there's a lot less viewers, and therefore the TV's not going to make as much money. So they get a bigger contract in the Big Ten than they would in the Pac-10 because of the time zone, the time change, or the time difference. So that's the problem. I think the 4:00 game's on at 7 at night, and you're competing with Alabama and Georgia and Michigan, Penn State, or something like that. Most of the country is going to watch the Michigan game, not USC playing Oregon at 7:00 at night, or the night games are on at 10. So it's really difficult for them to get the same kind of money from the TV contracts. Basically is my understanding of why they broke out. I didn't like it either. All right, so that's your college. That's your pros. Free pick, Dallas +9 tonight. Free pick, and my score on that's 30-20 Dallas. And my other free pick is Indiana, Ohio State. Let's make a score here. Ohio State 20 and Indiana 17. Be right about there. Can Indiana win? I don't think so. I don't like Mendoza, and I certainly don't like the Ohio State quarterback that much that these are the Heisman. The winner gets the Heisman because they're undefeated. Bullshit. Tagovailoa is the best quarterback in college football. Probably one of the best in pro football behind Burrow and Mahomes. Who would you rather have? Would you rather have Marcus or J.J. McCarthy at Minnesota or Tagovailoa? And your answer is Tagovailoa. That's my point. So go under with Ohio State, Indiana, 2017 and take Dallas +9 tonight. All right. Let's check our gold and silvery. Now we know it's paper, so we just, for humor, and we got silver holding in at 57, 57.11, $1. Why? Because they want to buy it. How can they buy it? They're out of silver. Silver is gone. China doesn't have any. India doesn't have any. Comex certainly doesn't have any. Oh, by the way, when these idiots talk about, they don't talk tons when they talk gold and silver. They talk ounces, and then you can see gold 42.60. So another update. Why did it go down yesterday? So they could buy it cheaper. So I heard a number of 50 million ounces of silver. It's only 1,560 tons. And when you look at it like that, and you look at China with 80,000 tons of gold, and you look at 50 million ounces, it's only 1,500 tons. They're doing it just for the sake, because if I say 1,500 tons, it's no big deal. But if I say 50 million ounces, it's a big deal. Again, I heard 800 million ounces is only 25,000 tons. So keep that in mind. They just divided by 32,000 and you get to the tons, which is much more manageable and reasonable. I don't care about 50 million ounces is nothing. 1,500 tons is very small. All right. So I was noticing this. So I eat honey, so I was looking at that, and it's mostly the name brand stores. You go into Myers, the Myers brand, and CVS, the CVS brand, and Walmart, the Walmart brand, and Kroger, the Kroger brand. So all the grocery stores, what they're saying is they're it's like salt. You want Celtic salt because it's got 84 minerals. You want honey because it's very good for you. However, regular table salt, they take all the minerals out. And in regular honey, they pasteurize, they take all the good stuff out. So be careful when you're buying honey. You don't want to buy the Costco brand or the Walmart brand. Buy something, it should be raw, but it should be thick and not a bright gold, because that means they've cleaned it out. It's not, they took all the minerals out of it and all the stuff that you want to eat honey for. So be careful of that. All right, so there's a few silver we're going to watch. Comex silver is 60% gone in a day. Global silver lockdown, and alligator and Sheckman on silver stock. So let's how much? All right, let's watch Comex silver 60% gone in 4 days. We'll watch some of this. Not too bad. So welcome to comex. I'll cut in and explain, and I don't think I'll rip these apart because I kind of agreed with them, but it explains what's going on with the Comex Ponzi scheme. So we know Comex is a Ponzi scheme. That's the title. Why is it a Ponzi scheme? Because again, you're doing a Madoff. You don't have real gold. You're playing with in silver. You're playing with paper. You're printing up options out of nowhere without physical. It's all bullshit. And so therefore, that's why we do it. The price is not a real price, gold and silver. It's a paper after the derivatives to get by JP Morgan and the banks where they want to get to. And that's the whole point of this. So that's really what's going on. And we understand it's paper. It's not a real price. But we know the real price is much higher. So whatever we see this at, we go, wow, silver. Well, I just showed you silver at $57. It's a joke. That's not the real price. That's the paper price that they want to lower so they can buy it. So the central banks, Russia and China, can buy it. And there's a comment in here, one of these videos, the U.S. has no silver. Silver, I mean, China and Russia are buying in India as much as they can, and then there is none in the US. How stupid is the US? They need to listen to my broadcast or my thesis here. They're a bunch of idiots. God, okay.
Gas. You're going to want to hear this. Right now, as we speak, a seismic event is unfolding inside the COMEX, which is basically the nerve center for global metals pricing. For years, we've all heard the debate, right? The argument over the disconnect between the price of silver on a computer screen and the price of actual physical silver you can hold in your hand. Well, market watchers are saying that debate is over. What we're looking at today are hard numbers that suggest a historic, non-negotiable run on the physical silver vaults is happening right now. Okay, so let's get right into it. The whole thing starts with this number. In just the first 4 trading days of December 2025, which is a huge delivery month, buyers on the futures exchange did something very, very unusual. See, normally traders just roll their contracts over. It's a paper game. But this time, a massive number of them said, nope, we want the metal. They stood for delivery. They stopped the contract, which is the formal way of saying, give me the 5,000 ounces of physical silver you owe me. And this is how many contracts did that. 9,527. Now, that number of contracts isn't just some figure on a spreadsheet. It's a direct claim on real, tangible metal sitting in a vault somewhere. And when you do the math, 9,527 contracts times 5,000 ounces each, you get this, a staggering 47.6 million ounces.
Now, I did the math. 50 million ounces is only 1,562 tons. And that's why I did it. Because this is confusing when he says 47 million ounces. You think that's a lot. But in our world, we're looking at tons. It's just 1,500 tons. So it's not a lot at all, right? But it sounds a lot when they go millions. Now, we know everything's priced in paper. Nothing's priced physically. We get that. So we already understood that. We know that people are taking delivery because it's cheaper to buy off of COMEX than it is to buy any other way they're buying, because COMEX is bullshit. And if somebody does the shorts and shorts the pro, like silver is $57.20 today or whatever. But where can you get it at? You can't buy. Even if I go to the store, I got to pay a $2 premium. So you can't get it for that unless on COMEX. So you buy the option. So JP Morgan is shorting it. That gets it down to 57 because they're trying to control the price. China then buys it. They do the other half of the contract. They do the buying of the contract, and they ask for delivery because they don't want dollars because they're not worth anything. So everybody in COMEX now is understanding the dollar is worthless, and it's mostly China and Russia doing the buying. And when they do the buying, they go, I want to take delivery of the gold because I want physical gold, which is the whole reason they're in the COMEX, to take advantage of this price that's bullshit, this $57.19 silver, or even gold at 42, whatever, 42.20. It probably cost them 4,500 in China for gold. I mean, they can't get it for 42.20. So because in the real world, the prices are higher, they come to COMEX, they buy the option of buying it as opposed to shorting it, and they want to take delivery. And there's no gold or silver, hence the Ponzi scheme. You're just selling paper. You're not selling physical. The fuck? How the hell are you're doing this then? It's bullshit. You can't say I'm marking down gold and silver on options if you don't have any. I can't sell you my Canadian club. I have one bottle. I can sell you one bottle. I can't sell you 1,000 bottles. I only have one. It's a Ponzi scheme if I try to sell more than one Canadian club. That's the thing. Okay. So let's a little bit more of this, but I think we got the idea.
Physical silver. To give you some context, that is a colossal amount. It's like a top 10 mining country's entire annual silver production being demanded in less than a week. This isn't a trickle, folks. This is a tidal wave hitting a system that was built on the assumption that nobody ever actually asks for the real thing. And look at the sheer financial muscle behind this move. With silver sitting around $57 an ounce, the value of the metal being ripped out of these vaults is over $2.7 billion. That amount of money tells you something really important. This is not a small group of retail investors. No way. The size of this withdrawal screams that large, deep-pocketed players, we're talking institutions, funds, maybe even governments, are making a very deliberate choice to swap their paper claims for hard assets. It's a massive, concentrated withdrawal of real wealth. So to really understand the shockwave this is sending, you have to look at the supply it's being pulled from. The COMEX has two kinds of silver, eligible and registered. Just think of registered as the shelf at the store with the only inventory that's actually for sale. At the start of December, that shelf only had about 73.5 million ounces on it. So this delivery frenzy for 47.6 million ounces, it just consumed over 60% of the entire ready for delivery supply in just 96 hours. More than half the silver on the shelf is now spoken for, gone. This is so unprecedented that many commentators are calling it a vault drain emergency. They're saying we have to stop thinking about this as just high demand. This is being seen as a direct challenge to the market's physical integrity. And from that point of view, the question isn't if a physical squeeze is coming anymore. The real question is how violently the paper market is going to react when it finally realizes the physical well is running dry. This whole
Well, they're going to go out. That's what's going to happen. People are smart enough to realize the dollar is worthless. They understand these option contracts and they all want gold. And this is the cheapest way to buy a bunch of gold or silver is through COMEX and stand for delivery. Why would you not stand for delivery? You don't want money. You want gold and silver. You don't want paper monopoly money. So that's really it. And COMEX being Madoff, being this bullshit Ponzi scheme, doesn't have the metal. So they're selling the options and manipulating the price without actually having the metal. Well, that's bullshit. Totally illegal. They all should be thrown in jail. But since they run the country, they're not going to put themselves in jail. But this is ridiculous. However, we understand that. That's why we've been buying physical gold and silver. So what I keep telling everybody to buy, not ETFs, which are another Ponzi scheme. They don't have the gold for that either, and or stocks. Well, stocks, you don't have the gold either. The only way you're going to survive is to have the physical gold, not the paper claims, not the ETFs. They won't give you the gold. They don't have it. The mines, China's going right to the mine and buying and just pulling the gold and silver out of the mine. So the mine is not going to have any gold and silver in it because it's all going to be gone to the Chinese and the Russians. So understand that there is no physical in COMEX, very, very little, and it's already claimed for. So when you hear Andy Schectman say the U.S. is bringing in a ton of silver, it's to pay this COMEX stuff, it's to pay the contracts. That's why they're bringing it in, but it goes over his head. He doesn't quite understand it. That's why we don't listen to Andy Schectman. All right.
Situation feeds into a much bigger idea that people are calling the Great Decoupling. This is the theory that the paper price of silver, the one set by trillions of dollars in derivatives, is in the final stages of a complete and total break from the price of the actual physical metal. And those who believe this say the market itself is sending out these huge, undeniable signals that this isn't some far-off theory anymore. It's happening right now. And to get this, you have to understand the basic conflict. On one side, you've got paper silver. That's futures contracts, ETFs, all that stuff. It's basically a promise, an IOU for silver. This market is gigantic, and it's built on leverage. You can have hundreds of paper claims for every single ounce of real silver in the vault. And on the other side, you've got the physical metal itself, the actual bars. For decades, the system has pretended these two are the same thing. The argument now is that the big players are calling that bluff. They don't want the IOU anymore. They want the metal. So the first major signal the market is sending is something called backwardation. Now, in a normal market, the price for silver next month is a little higher than it is today, right? To cover storage and insurance. Backwardation is the complete opposite. It means the price to get silver in your hands right now is higher than the price for delivery in the future. The market is literally paying a premium for immediate possession, and that only happens when there's a deep fear that it won't be available later. This is the ultimate red flag for a shortage, and we haven't seen it this bad since the chaos of the 1980s. The second signal is just the raw, blistering speed of these deliveries. That 44.3 million ounces demanded by just day 3, it doesn't just beat the entire monthly delivery totals for most of the last 4 years. It completely blows them out of the water. The only thing even remotely comparable was the market mayhem during the COVID crisis, and we're already halfway to that record in just a few days. This shows a huge shift in behavior. The buyers are aggressively taking the metal, forcing the big banks to scramble and find physical silver they might have promised but don't actually have. So you've got to ask yourself, why is this all happening now? What's so special about this month? Well, analysts don't see this as a random event. They see it as the logical end of a multi-year structural deficit that's finally hit its breaking point. So let's look at the real-world drivers that have made physical silver so incredibly tight, setting the stage for this whole thing. The first driver is just relentless, unstoppable industrial demand. See, silver isn't just shiny metal you stick in a vault. It gets consumed. It's essential for things like solar panels, electric vehicles, and 5G networks. This whole green economy revolution is powered by silver, and that demand is soaring, up an estimated 15% this year alone. It's inelastic demand, meaning manufacturers have to buy it almost regardless of price because they need it to build their products. It's a powerful, constant drain on global supply. The second driver, massive buying from sovereign nations. We're not just talking about industry anymore. Central banks and governments, especially in places like India and China, have reportedly been stacking enormous physical stockpiles. We're talking over 1,200 tons. That's almost 40 million ounces of physical silver this year.
Okay, so we know there's high demand. We know comex is a Ponzi scheme. They don't actually, they're trying to set a price of physical gold and silver that they don't have. And they're trying to do it with paper to lower the price. So we know the price is bullshit, which is why we look at it just to laugh at it and get an idea where the price is at now. But we know 4,200 for gold is a joke. We know it's much, much higher. That's why I give you 10 grand. I think it's at least 10 times what these paper prices are. I know China and Russia are coming out with a physical price soon, or they already have. And they're going to laugh at the comex price. So the comex, why comex? And this bullshit game of options and derivatives, setting the price with gold and silver they don't have. Why is that the physical price? That's the $1 million question. Why would it be? It's not even close to the real price because they keep, shutting it down, but nobody's selling gold and silver. They're buying and buying and buying. So when you got a huge demand and low supply, the price goes up. So we're taking advantage of these cheap prices, especially silver at 57. I mean, that's why you don't even worry about it. Oh, it went down to 55 or 49 last week, and now it's up to 57. It's just bullshit. It's not even close to the real physical price. How we cannot have one, I don't know. But the reason that this exists, people want to buy it cheaper. So they're setting the cheap price to buy it. So let's say we want to do steaks and we have comex. We mark the price down to $5, and I'll go to the grocery store, buy a bunch of steaks for $5 instead of the market dictating $13, $15, $17. That's what people will pay to get the actual steak. And don't think digital sucks. You're going to buy a digital steak? You want to buy a digital lobster? You want to buy digital money? I mean, it's a joke. They're not real. So don't waste your time with it. Okay, that was that one. Let's listen to Alligator and Scheckman for a few minutes. I want to get to the 6-minute part.
Are draining. Something extraordinary is happening in the gold and silver markets right now.
Very similar.
And for the first time, the warnings from Andy Scheckman and Alistair McLeod aren't just analysis. They're playing out in real
they analyze,
time.
really?
For years, both experts have warned that the paper-based pricing system behind gold and silver was stretched beyond its limits, that physical demand would eventually overwhelm the synthetic supply created through futures, rehypothecation, and leveraged positions, and that one day the world would see the difference between paper metal and real metal. That moment has arrived. According to recent market data, silver has surged to new all-time highs, while global inventories have tightened to levels that major exchanges haven't seen in modern history. Delivery requests on comex exploded. More than 36 million ounces of silver demanded in one shot, alongside nearly 60 tons of gold standing for delivery at the same time. And right as this pressure peaked, the unthinkable happened. The CME system, the backbone of global futures trading, went dark for 10 hours during the exact moment of the largest physical demand spike of the year. Analysts may call this a coincidence, but according to Sheckman and McLeod, the timing is anything but random. It lines up precisely with what they've been warning about. The moment the physical market begins to overpower the paper market, the moment the illusion of abundance collapses, and the moment real metal starts dictating the price instead of leveraged contracts. This isn't just a rally. This is the early phase of a structural breakdown. Today, we're going to break down exactly what their message means, how the global precious metal system is changing, and why this moment could mark the beginning of one of the most dramatic repricing events in modern financial history.
We're talking about 36 million plus ounces of silver in a stand for delivery on comex. And coins.
Okay, so 36 million ounces is roughly 1,100 tons. Not a lot. Because I see China with 80,000 tons of gold, 1,000 or 1,100 tons to me is nothing. Right now, of course, we want to own that much, but it's nothing. When you start getting into like 10,000 tons, it's meaningful. Like when they talk about 800 million is 25,000 tons, but 39 million is only 1,100 tons. So that's it.
Incidentally, the whole of the comex system had a data fault. Now, did they pull the plug because they couldn't resolve the situation? I mean, we're talking about a delivery of $2 billion worth of silver. This is large. There was also a very large delivery of gold, over 58 tons on that same day. So, I think the markets are showing huge, great strength.
If you were to see silver at the end of the year at $96, it would not be crazy at all. And if you take 42.40 and divide by 7, it's going to be somewhere around $600, 605. As insane as that sounds, that would match the geologic footprint right now. So yeah.
See, now his mistake is he's using gold today at 4,200, which is not an accurate price. This is the problem with Andy Sheckman. He doesn't know how to think. You can't say, gold at 4,200 is the real price of gold, because it's not. It's probably like, let's say 20,000. So if you want to do 7 ounces of silver buys 1 ounce of gold, and let's make it easy. 21. Let's say gold's real price is 21,000. Put silver at 3,000. You can't look at 4,200 today and then divide by 7. So today, okay, it would be 650. But again, you have COMEX price fixing it. You don't have the free market. Once the free market does and gold runs to 20,000, silver is 3,000. And that's how we look at it. That's how I look at it. It's let the market run it, not this COMEX bullshit.
I think silver is the asset of a generation.
This situation begins with something Alistair McLeod has repeatedly emphasized: rising prices accompanied by falling open interest. According to McLeod's latest analysis, gold's open interest sits near 420,000 contracts, a level typically seen during price exhaustion, not at the start of a breakout. Silver shows the same pattern. Under normal conditions, speculative rallies push open interest higher. Traders pile in, hedge funds load up on leverage, and futures positions multiply. But not this time. According to the latest COMEX data, open interest is shrinking even as prices rise, which means something entirely different is driving the move. Contracts aren't being opened, they're being closed. Shorts aren't adding, they're retreating. And buyers aren't trading paper, they're standing for physical delivery. That's the core of McLeod's message. When prices rise with collapsing open interest, the physical market, not the paper market, is now in control. This is rare, and it is the clearest sign that the leveraged system that has dominated precious metals pricing for decades is beginning to lose its power. At the same time,
so that's what we're hoping for and waiting for, is for the physical price to take over. Why? Because we've already bought gold and silver. Now we've been in it for 5 years. So if you're new, you need to start buying it. Just put a ton into silver because it's affordable. Gold, if you can't afford the ounce at 4,400, you can always get the quarter ounce at 1,000 and get a bunch of that. But you got to own something gold and silver. The longer you're in the dollar, it's worthless. And then here, the COMEX blowing up, which is what we've been waiting for. So now that COMEX is blowing up, the physical price will really start shooting, because how are they going to price gold and silver if we're not using comex? The Chinese are going to price it, and the Russians with their Shanghai Gold Exchange and Hong Kong and St. Petersburg and Dubai, they'll start setting the price, and it'll be high because they know we don't have gold and they do have gold. And if you have gold, you want a higher price. We have gold. We want a higher price. We keep looking for $10,000 an ounce of gold. And we're frustrated. It keeps going up because they want to buy more. But I'll tell you, there's not a lot more to buy. There really isn't. The way that the BRICS has been buying, because they'll buy the bars. Me and you buy the ounces. So anyway.
Andy Schechtman has been highlighting another critical pressure point: the collapse of inventories. According to Schechtman, both COMEX and LBMA silver stocks have been draining for months, with London's silver inventories falling to decade-low levels and registered COMEX stocks shrinking as large players quietly remove metal from the system. China, according to refinery contacts Schechtman works with, has been pulling silver out of London at an unprecedented rate. The Shanghai Futures Exchange, according to its latest reports, has experienced one of the fastest drawdowns in its history. Now combine those facts with what just happened on COMEX. According to official delivery statistics, in the first 2 days of the December cycle, nearly 24,000 gold contracts, about 2.4 million ounces.
Here's how this patch trick is helping thousands reduce stubborn fat without crazy lifestyle changes. Are you tired?
24,000 gold contracts, about 2.4 million ounces, stood delivery. Silver demand was even more extreme. More than 8,300 contracts, representing roughly 41 million ounces, demanded immediate physical settlement. To put this into context, November, normally a slow delivery month, saw almost 20 million ounces of silver delivered and more than 1 million ounces of gold leave the exchange.
So 20 million ounces is only 600 tons. I mean, they make it sound like a big deal, but 500, 600 tons is nothing. I mean, very small.
Aren't traders. These aren't momentum chasers. According to Schechtman, the sizes and timing of these delivery demands match sovereign-level interest, likely Eastern players, possibly Chinese-aligned entities who prefer physical metal over Western promises. And the most interesting part is where the rumor of the 36 million ounce Stanford delivery started: Shanghai. According to multiple sources familiar with the matter, word was circulating across the Shanghai Gold Exchange hours before the Western markets reacted. Then came the CME outage. According to the official statement, it was a cooling failure in a data center.
Bullshit.
But according to engineers who design these systems, major exchanges don't collapse from a single cooling loop. They have redundant loops, backup generators, mirrored data centers, and automatic failover protocols.
Okay, if this was real, you would have heard about this before, not just at the critical time when everybody's buying silver. Well, why isn't there one today or yesterday or, next week? Why isn't there a cooling problem? Only when it's everybody buying and buying, so that it's bullshit.
Total outage across all systems is extremely unlikely. A 10-hour outage during one of the largest delivery events of the decade strains credibility even further. This is where Schechtman's and McLeod's insights converge. According to both analysts, the Western gold and silver markets rely on a system where 1 ounce of metal can be legally claimed multiple times through rehypothecation. As long as very few people ask for actual delivery, the system works. But once physical demand spikes, once too many people start opening the cookie box, the illusion collapses. Schechtman describes it simply: if too many people open the box at once, the world discovers there aren't enough cookies to satisfy the claims. This is exactly what's happening. According to McLeod, the combination of shrinking open interest, rising prices, massive delivery demands, and rapidly falling inventories suggests that the derivative structure may be reaching the end of its elasticity. The shorts can't roll forward easily, liquidity is thinning, and the buyers are not leaving. They're standing for metal. Then comes the geopolitical layer. According to recent reports, multiple countries, including Italy, Germany, Hungary, Turkey, and India, have been repatriating gold. This is not normal behavior during stable times. Nations repatriate gold when they don't trust the system, when they expect volatility, and when they want the metal physically inside their own borders before monetary conditions shift. China's role is even more significant. According to shipment data, China has been pulling silver out of London and absorbing global supply at a pace that suggests strategic accumulation, not market participation. And according to SGE insiders, rumors of large Western delivery stands are often known in Asia before the West reacts, revealing just how global and interconnected the informational pipeline truly is. Layer all of this together, and the picture becomes clear. The physical market is asserting itself. The paper market is weakening. The derivative system is under stress. Vaults are draining. Delivery requests are exploding. And major exchanges are experiencing failures during peak stress. According to both Sheckman and McLeod, this is the scenario they've warned about for years. The early stage of a monetary reset, where gold and silver revalue sharply to reflect their true scarcity and their role in a world where trust in currency and institutions is breaking down. Silver at $96? According to Sheckman, not crazy. Silver near $600 based on geological ratios? According to McLeod, mathematically consistent in a market where paper supply disappears and only physical metal matters. This isn't a future prediction. This is a description of what is unfolding now.
In both gold and silver, we've got this extraordinary situation with metals going into new high ground or not far off it, definitely in bull markets. And the speculative interest on the buy side, as it were, is minimal. I mean, if you look at the open interest on COMEX for gold, that's less than 420,000 contracts. I mean, that's sort of oversold level. I mean, not deep oversold, but pretty near it. And this is the fascinating thing. Gold and silver are rising without any speculative input. I mean, it's obviously a little bit, but I mean, it's tiny, if anything. I mean, it's really a squeeze on the establishment, on the paper establishment. And I think that, particularly in the case of silver, it's very difficult for the establishment actually to close out their positions. And consequently, we could be seeing, if you like, the end of the silver contract in both forward markets in London and also on COMEX. Now, that's quite a statement because so long as I've been looking at the relationship between physical and derivatives, there have been gold bugs saying the derivatives are used to suppress the price of gold, suppress the price of silver, and so on. I mean, undoubtedly that is true. But if that's coming to an end, then there is going to be massive buying pressure from that end alone. As people move out of paper, where they've got paper and they think they've got exposure to the prices, where they'll move out of paper and have to move into the physical. So I think we're seeing potentially momentous events. Silver could be breaking, if you like, the commodity derivative system. And that's a fascinating thought. It's not buyers doing it. It's basically the shorts refusing to go even shorter. They're trying to control the position. And worse than that, they're finding the few buyers in the market standing for delivery. I mean, there's a fascinating thing which happened last week. I think on Thursday, there was a story apparently going around the Shanghai Gold Exchange and the Shanghai Futures Exchange that there was going to be a large stand for delivery in Western capital markets.
Yes.
And there was actually, as it turned out. We're talking about 36 million plus ounces of silver in a stand for delivery on COMEX. And coincidentally, the whole of the COMEX system had a data fault. Now, did they pull the plug because they couldn't resolve the situation? I mean, we're talking about a delivery of $2 billion worth of silver. This is large. There was also a very large delivery of gold, over 58 tons on that same day.
Michigan homeowners, I want to buy your house right now, as is, no matter what condition.
Day. So, I think the markets are showing huge, great strength. Now, the fact that the rumor started in Shanghai rather suggests that the stand for delivery was of Chinese origin, or at least origin in that part of the world, and was.
Well, of course, China's doing all the buying. So all this is saying is that people are wise to the Madoff Ponzi scheme and COMEX, that They're playing with paper, and this is the cheapest place to buy it is on Comex, and you stand for delivery to get it, and they have to deliver the gold. The silver, they should deliver it. It's a little bit different. But that's why people are coming into Comex is to buy it because it's the cheapest place to buy it. And we're going to buy it. There's 4 stores and I go to 3 of them and I got a 4th one's cheaper. I'm going to buy from the 4th one. That's what they're doing with Comex. And of course, it's China. Who else could it be? Russia, too. Andrew, hello. Welcome. Bought a half-ounce Gold Eagle for $21.60. So $43.20. That's not bad. This morning at the coin shop, plus 2 silver maples and a silver buffalo for 58 a piece. That's a good price because it's 57. It's funny they don't have much of a premium on silver. I don't know why. Love metal is very grateful. My pleasure, Andrew. It's good things you did. Again, here's my 10th of an ounce maple. So Alyssa was over yesterday. She says, "What is it?" I go, "What does it look like?" She didn't know it was a gold coin. It was pretty funny. But that's what's happening as people realize the dollar's worthless. Everybody's running into gold and silver. So we're going to get that Titanic moment when you realize the boat's sinking and the frenzy to get into the lifeboat begins. And we're getting very, very close to that moment. And when we get to that moment, gold goes to 20,000 an ounce. Silver will be 2,000 or 3,000, no problem. And what I warn people about is you better buy now because you're not going to find it, and especially at these prices. So that's the point. So you buy the gold and silver and just sit back and let the price go because it's going to run. The only reason it's stopping is these derivatives and options on Comex that push the price down. So they're doing shorts. As I showed you in Trading Places, they sold the orange juice at 142 and then bought it at 29. That's how options work. You can sell first and then buy. But now there's not a lot of people wanting to sell because they realize that the demand's huge for gold and silver because the inflation all over the world is very high. It is not 2%. Anybody that thinks inflation is 2%, you're out of your minds. It's 1,000 to 5,000, 10,000% because you got to go back to 71. You don't go back to last year and go year over year and only on the items that didn't go up much. Yeah, Coca-Cola's. It went from $3 to $3.30. That's still 10%. But you go back to when it was a dime in 1971, and now what's the inflation on Coca-Cola, right? That's what you got to do. So for some reason, they think it's year over year. It's all bullshit. It's all government trying to cover their asses because they're a bunch of idiots. So what you have here is people starting to realize the dollars are worthless, the euro's worthless, British pound's worthless, Canadian. And the banks are freaking out because they're going to get defaults. You have a recession, so people are losing their job. And as Gregor John said, he tried the limited my funds to send on YouTube can't send you a tip. So again, PayPal or Venmo will work just fine. But that's. Look what the banks are doing. You got money in a safety deposit box, get it the hell out because they're going to close the bank and not give you the money and they're going to keep it. And that's what happens with banks when they're broke. You have these wars because the U.S. is broke, right? We're 37 trillion down. You're broke. You can't pay the 37 trillion off, but you owe it to China, Russia, and these countries who bought your bonds. You got to pay them. You can't just walk away and say, I'm not paying you. Yeah. They'll nuke your ass. I mean, that's not a possibility. We have no gold or silver. Why not? One of these videos said, I thought it was this one, that the U.S. has no gold. I mean, we have no silver. We have no gold. We're too stupid to have it because we think we're the reserve currency because idiots like Jim Reichert says you can print as much as you want. No, you can't. The more you print, the less it's worth. So you have idiots like this in the government, and they think they can just keep printing and printing. And so they didn't have gold, and they sold all their gold and silver. And now it's like, oh, shit, the dollar is worthless. you can't just keep printing and printing. So, I mean, this is the problem. Yeah, Keynesians in the government. Keynesians are idiots, and it doesn't work. You need Austrians in there, people with my background who can say you can't print the death. Have gold and silver, but you don't have that. You got George Soros waiting for the dollar to go broke so he can make another $1 billion, of which it won't matter unless he has gold and silver. His money will be worthless also. So you get out of the paper game. And once they stop interfering with the real price of gold and silver, and we get a real gold and silver mechanism, that'll clear all this. But what Alligator's saying and Andy Shackman, it's just there's demand to get out of dollars and to buy gold and silver, and the cheapest place to buy it is Comex. You're saying, Andrew, you bought it for $58. Well, if I went on Comex, I could get it for $57. Now I can't go on Comex to buy, but if you're a big central bank like China and Russia, you get the silver for $57. That's what the contract says. That's why they're on Comex. All right. I think that's about it. It's 2 hours. I'm hungry.
March 2025, a solar manufacturer in Germany quietly cancels orders. A defense contract.
All right, we can watch this, maybe a couple minutes of this one. The global silver lockdown has begun. I've never heard of this guy before. Again, 43 million ounces is only 1,200 tons of gold or silver. So anyway, silver will hit 1,000 an ounce once we get into a real price and we kill the COMEX. So as the COMEX is fading away because everybody wants the physical and they don't have it and the Ponzi scheme's over, then you're going to get a real gold and silver price, and silver will be at least 1,000 an ounce. And that's, these guys, gold, silver might hit 100. Fuck, it's going to hit 1,000. What do you don't know anything. Anybody that says that, it's clearly clueless of what really is happening. They don't even understand that the paper price is what he's talking about. And I'm talking the physical price, which is at least 10 times the paper price. All right, let's watch a little of this. And I'm getting hungry, but good for you, Andrew. Buy more, and at $58, buy as much silver as you can. Again, it's a no-brainer. It's going to 1,000, and the gold, I can see where you're struggling, where you bought the half ounce instead of that. Now, maybe the guy didn't have any ounce, and you bought the half ounce. I hope you didn't pay tax on it. You're not supposed to pay it. In Detroit, there's no tax on it, so come here if you are paying a tax on it, because now it's $4,400 for an ounce of gold. So you're going to pay tax if you're paying it. I don't pay tax. There's no tax in Michigan. All right, let's take a quick look.
Factor in Virginia adds silver to their strategic reserve. 3 Asian refineries stop accepting new contracts. And in London, the world's oldest bullion dealer implements purchase limits for the first time in 340 years. This isn't happening tomorrow. This is happening right now. And if you don't understand what these events signal, you're about to watch the largest industrial commodity crisis of the 21st century unfold in real time. In the next 12 minutes, I'm going to show you the 3-phase lockdown pattern that precedes every critical resource crisis in history: strategic stockpiling, export restrictions, price controls. It happened with oil in 1973, with rare earths in 2010, with semiconductors in 2021, and now it's happening with silver. The difference? This time there's no substitute, no workaround, no technological fix. When the lockdown completes, entire industries stop. Let me show you what's already begun that the media isn't covering. Phase 1, silent accumulation. This is where governments and corporations stockpile without announcement. No press releases, no market panic, just quiet, systematic buying that drains supply invisibly. China stopped reporting silver import data in late 2023. Why does that matter? Because when a country that consumes 20% of global supply goes dark on statistics, they're not being transparent. They're hiding accumulation. India's silver imports hit 38-year highs in 2024, not for jewelry, for strategic reserve. The government classified precious metals alongside military assets. You don't do that for an industrial commodity. You do that for a weapon. Russia diverted 100% of domestic silver production to state reserves in early 2024. Not sold, not exported, stockpiled. And here's the part that should terrify you. The United States, the country that invented modern finance, that dominates global trade, has zero strategic silver reserve. None. We sold it all between 2005 and 2015, every ounce. While China.
What a bunch of idiots. We sold all our, so we have no silver. We know we have no gold, because if they did, they would show Fort Knox and say, look, here's 8,000 tons, but they don't have it. There's no way that the U.S. has any gold, and apparently has no silver. This is a problem. And then China and Russia have it all. So let's see, you don't have any. I'm going to raise the price on you, because if you want to get it, it's going to cost you a fortune of money that doesn't real. So when I go to when I go here to buy more gold and silver, I ask them, are you still going to take monopoly money? So in other words, when I Rumpelstiltskin this to this, the question is, are you still going to take this so I can buy this? And his answer is yes. He's still taking monopoly money to buy this. This is the steal of the century. We are giving this that's worthless for this that has value. And we just watch it go up and up and up. And we see it price fixed. So we're even better, because we know the real price is much higher. I'm conservatively saying 10 times, which puts silver at 600, but it's at least 1,000. And gold at would be 40,000, which is conservative. Because in the real market, you're not, it doesn't go down. The demand is huge for gold, let's say for gold. So the demand's huge. So the price will go up because I want it, but there isn't any. You got 10 people wanting 5 ounces, the price goes up because they all want it. And then the price goes up and up. There's never a price down. Like you see Comex, does this. That's bullshit. The physical doesn't go down. Nobody, if you have demand, the price goes up. You have demand. You have nobody selling. You have nobody not wanting to be in gold. You have people getting out of Bitcoin. You will have people getting out of the stock market. You will have people struggling to sell houses because the demand isn't there. You will not have a problem with gold and silver demand. It will go and go and go. And that's the key to it. We understand that. So when you see this little drop, like today in silver 57, what the fuck is that? There's plenty of demand for silver. In fact, it's probably the most demanded because of the military use and the financial use. It is money. And as I get out of dollars and the dollar's worthless, and I need silver because I can't afford the gold because it's getting too expensive. So we're going to watch gold go to the moon. We're going to watch silver go to the moon. We're going to watch COMEX go bye-bye because it's all paper and that's it. I mean, nobody is going to sit there with the paper silver and paper gold, only the people wanting to buy. But if you don't have the physical metal, it's worthless, right? If I don't have the physical metal, COMEX is gone, and COMEX is gone because they don't have it. And then how are they going to replenish it? Gold's 4,200, 4,300. They're probably paying 45, 4,600 to bring it in to replenish for these people taking delivery. Well, they're not going to get, where are they going to get the money for that? They're bankrupt banks. The banks will not, they're all going to collapse because they all have they're the ones doing the shorts on the options and they can't buy the short. So in other words, if you shorted silver at $40 an ounce, hoping it goes down to 37 and it didn't, it went up, you can't get out of that position. You have to then buy it. So you're selling it at 40. Now you got to buy it at 58. Yeah. Good luck on that one. How much are you going to lose there? These banks are gone. So the dollar is gone. It is not there. Inflation is nowhere near 2%. What a bunch of bullshit. It is nowhere near it's 10,000% because you go back to 71 because you've inflated the money that much. Right. That's why it takes you $4,400 to buy the ounce of silver because you go all the way back from $35 to 44. But again, it is the price of gold going up based on demand, not because the dollar's worthless, because the dollar's been worthless for a while and gold didn't go up to 4,400. The reason is because of the huge demand for it. That always sets the price. All right, a little bit more, and then I'm going to eat.
Russia, and India accumulated, America sold. We bet on paper markets and infinite supply. They bet on physical control. Now look at corporate behavior. Tesla secured 7-year silver supply contracts in 2024 at fixed prices. They locked in supply before the squeeze. First Solar did the same. Panasonic, LG, Samsung, all signing long-term deals with mines directly, bypassing the spot market entirely. When the world's largest manufacturers start hoarding, they've seen the data, you haven't. This is phase 1, accumulation without panic. The smart money is already positioned. The question is, are you?
Yep.
Phase 2, export restrictions and capital controls. This is where countries protect domestic supply by blocking exports. It always starts with justifications, national security, environmental protection, industrial policy. The reason doesn't matter. The result is the same. Supply gets fragmented. Global markets break. Prices dislocate. Let me show you how this plays out. Indonesia, the world's 4th largest tin producer, banned tin exports in 2013. Not forever, just until prices stabilized. Translation? Until we've secured domestic supply and our strategic partners are positioned. Tin prices doubled. Industries dependent on tin faced shortages. The ban lasted months, but the psychological shift was permanent. Countries learned they could weaponize resource control. Rare earth crisis, 2010. China controlled 97% of global supply. Then they restricted exports, officially for environmental reasons. Really? They were building electric vehicles, wind turbines, advanced missiles. They needed rare earths domestically. So they choked off global supply. Prices spiked 10 times in 18 months. Japan stockpiled frantically. The US scrambled to reopen closed mines, but mines take a decade. The damage was done. Now watch what's happening with silver. Russia banned silver exports to countries imposing sanctions in 2022. Mexico, the world's largest silver producer, implemented export quotas in late 2024. Not a full ban, just quotas. Enough to signal that supply isn't guaranteed. Peru tightened mining regulations, slowing production at the exact moment demand is surging. Coincidence or preparation? And here's where it gets darker. 4 South Korean banks stopped selling physical silver in February 2025. Not because they wanted to, because they couldn't source it. Or when banks with unlimited capital and global networks can't get metal, that tells you physical supply is already locked. China blocked citizens from buying precious metals through banks. They raised risk classifications. They restricted platforms. Why? Because when the state is accumulating, they don't want citizens competing for the same ounces. This is phase 2, fragmentation. Each country secures...
All right, that's not true. China, citizens in China can buy gold and silver and put it in their accounts. So I don't know what he's talking about there, unless it's from the bank, where I know Pat says in Singapore, they can buy, they go to the stores. There's a whole like gold run, like a whole street of gold shops. And they're saying, and they go by there and they say there's 4-hour, 6-hour waits in line to buy the gold and silver. So the people in China own gold. So I don't understand that. But what's simply happening is they realize that the supply is gone, and then they're trying to buy it because they know it's the best thing to buy. Now, as far as whatchamacallit, what is it? Tesla buying silver from the mine. Believe me, the mine's going to cancel the contract. When silver hits 500 an ounce, they're not going to be selling it to them at $60. See, they probably bought the contract with the mines probably at $75, $80 an ounce. So when it starts hitting 1,000 an ounce or 500 an ounce, they're going to break the contract. So they're going to say, sorry, Tesla. Yeah, or they must have put something in their contingency in the contract saying, if it hits 500, I'm charging you 500. Because it can't be this stupid. So again, they're going right to the mine. So you're buying mining stocks. Well, they don't, they're buying, all these companies are buying the silver right from the mine. So the mine, you're basing, well, when silver goes up, the stock will go up. No, it won't, because they don't have any inventory. Their inventory is shot. They don't have that much. I saw a note in here. I want to see something on this. One of the comments. He's talking about how many ounces are coming out. Here, mines continue to produce about 2.2 million ounces a day. What the fuck is this guy? Right? mines continue to produce about 2.2 million ounces a day. If somebody can't figure out how to market the stuff, it will just be stockpiled. No big law. What's he talking about? Here's where my whole thesis started the day. Is this guy accurate? How does he know 2.2 million? There's no fucking way they get 2.2 million ounces a day. Where's he getting that figure from? So that's why you can't just believe what people say. I don't buy that because there's a shortage of silver. They don't make 2.2 million ounces, which is a ton a day. They don't make that kind of every day. No, maybe in a month, but there's very little silver because the cost to run the mine is very low. So nobody's doing it. The only way you get silver out of the mine now is not a silver mine. It's either a gold mine or a copper mine or a nickel mine. And it happens to come out with it, right? So you dig up, you're looking for copper, you're looking for gold, you're looking for nickel. And, oh, we found some silver in the mine because the mine has everything in it sometimes. There's no way 2,200 ounces. All right, well, that's it. I assume this is for my haircut. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's what we have. You have a strong, strong demand for physical gold and silver. COMEX is a Ponzi scheme of paper contracts that are used to set the price. There is no physical price. They use the COMEX price to set the physical price because it's a Ponzi scheme. They're trying to buy the gold and silver cheap. And if I set the price with COMEX with the contracts, then it's not a real free market price. Free market is, if I have an auction for my Canadian club and somebody gives me $500, that's the price for it. Somebody might give me $50, that's the price for it. But I have to have the physical, and then somebody buys it. And that. So what the market is what I'm going to sell something, and there's a buyer. That's the market. What does the buyer pay for? And again, some people will pay more, some people will pay less. But that's what a market is, and that's what we do not have in physical gold and silver. We know it's 10 times higher because it would never go down because the demand's huge right now. So if you got strong demand, prices don't go down with strong demand, right? So if you're selling Coca-Cola 2 liters at the grocery store for $3 and you sell out in 5 minutes, then you raise it to $4 and you sell out, and you sell it to $5 and you sell out, you keep raising the price because they keep buying it all. But conversely, when there's no demand, you put it out for $3, nobody buys it. Now you got, 2 for $5. So you're lowering the price to $2.50. And that's what the market does. But in this case, there is no market because it's paper. The physical market's what we're talking about, not the paper market. And it's 10 times higher, and it keeps going because there's demand, because we realize the dollar's worthless. This is fucking monopoly money, has no value because you printed the shit out of it. Nobody wants it. BRICS isn't using it. It's not a petrodollar anymore. Anybody can buy Saudi oil. And it just, boom. So the dollars are worthless. So that's the first concept you must understand. And then we go buy physical because that's the price is set by COMEX is a joke. It's a Madoff. And then the physical price is 10 times more. So just like today, Andrew, a half ounce for $21.60. That's what a quarter ounce is going to sell for soon. So that means an ounce. So when it goes to 10,000, your 2,000 turns into 5,000 because you get a half ounce. So anyway, that's what's happening. So again, we want to buy physical, not paper, not ETFs. Those are a Ponzi scheme. He's trying to sell. He's got 1 ounce. He's trying to sell 1,000 ETFs with 1 ounce. And then when the 1,000 people say, "Give me my ounce," he doesn't have it to give. It's a Ponzi scheme. So avoid ETFs, avoid stocks because that's an auction. What is stocks? Okay, what's an auction? An auction, there's a million things. Let's say it's baseball cards. Okay, I'm going to an auction. There's Mickey Mantle, there's Pete Rose, there's Roberto Clemente, there's Sandy Koufax, there's Larry Bird, da 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 da. And so you choose what you want to buy. So an auction is, I put something up and there's bidders and they buy it. That's what the stock market is. And it's all the same thing. So in other words, there's all these stocks, and which ones are you going to buy? You're going to buy Amazon, you're going to buy Coca-Cola, you're going to buy Disney, you're going to buy Pepsi, you're going to buy, Microsoft, Intel. What are you going to buy? And everybody's buying the same 3 or 4 stocks. Nobody's buying the gold stock and the silver stock. That's the thing. So just because they're there and they might be cheap, if nobody is buying it, the price isn't going to go up. The price of your new mining can only go up if in the auction people buy it. And if people don't buy it, the price won't go up, even though it's worth more. And that's what these movies are, where they go, oh, the price of the company is worth more than the stock because the stock isn't moving, because everybody's running into IBM and Apple and Amazon, and they're not running into the ABC company. So that's when you see these stock movies. Oh, well, the company is worth $1 million, but the stock is at 10. So the stock should be at 25. Danny DeVito did this called Other People's Money, and that's all he was doing. The physical value of the company was $30 a share, and the stock was at 10. So I'm going to buy your company and then sell it because I'm only going to pay 10 and I can get 30 for it. Now, that doesn't happen too often, but it does happen. But that's what an auction is in stocks. It's you're all bidding on. What are you bidding on? I'm going to take Microsoft. Well, how about Newmont Mining? No. I want Microsoft. Oh, Apple, Amazon. They're the ones going up. Nah, it's a gold stock. I don't want it. Plus, the people putting you in the stocks, the market makers, and your financial planners, financial advisors aren't putting you in Newmont Mining. They're putting you where they look good and make the commissions. So again, it's their best interest, not yours. So be careful of that. All right, I will leave you with silver 57.02, which we know is going to be $570, and gold at 42.09, which is 42,090. Those are your real prices. And again, that's bullshit because again, they go down. There's no going down. You have huge demand for gold and silver. The price would not ever go down until the demand goes down. But because everybody needs it, because this is worthless and this is worthless, because these are worthless, the whole world has to get out of those and into gold and silver. And when the central banks and the banks are buying tons of it, as the people start realizing it, there's not going to be the ounces to buy because the ton. So the price has to go up. So the banks start selling their bars to make ounces to sell to the people. So there's a point where you will sell your gold if you're getting the right price. So you're going to add at least 1 0, if not 2 zeros to the 4,000. And that's why we sit there and we just hold on and we go, thank you. And we just, hey, what's it doing today? Okay. But we know this is phony, and that's really the key to it. So with that, free pick, Ohio State under against Indiana. Take Dallas tonight, getting 9 from the Lions. Those are your free picks. And we will go from there. I have a full slate. I have about 8 to 10 picks in the pros already, and I played most of the college games. Now, you don't know what my lock is. You don't know my strength of picks. That's really how the teaser goes. You don't know how many teasers I put Dallas in and Detroit in and Ohio State under in. So that's why you come to me to figure that out, because that's where you make your money in teasers. All right. Have a wonderful day. We will talk more tomorrow. Tomorrow is Friday. So have a nice weekend. Enjoy the game tonight. And we got these games tomorrow. There are 4 college games. And then Saturday, there's the other 5. And then there's the Thursday night game and then all the Sundays in the pros. All right. Well, have a good day, everybody. Hope you enjoyed. And www.teaserking.com. If you're trying to leave a tip, just go to my teaserking.com and just use my email and go on PayPal or Venmo and hit me. So I appreciate those. And believe me, we're all going to do well in gold and silver. So buy as much as you can. There's no the way it is you're getting rid of these. So if you have 10,000 or 50,000 or 100,000 of these, whatever you have, you want to get rid of most of them. You want to keep like $2,000 to pay expenses, but you don't want to cash in your gold and silver to pay your expenses. So you leave a little bit of money behind. But the goal is to get rid of that. Keep getting rid of monopoly money, right? You get rid of this and you get gold and silver with it. And the more of this, the wealthier you'll be, because the price is going up. And this is not an opinion or, no, this is what's going to happen. You can see it happening. You can see gold. I told you this at 1,700. Now it's 42. It'll go to 5. It'll go to 10. It's not going to come down because the demand's there. This is a monopoly. There's no other things to go into, and the dollar's worthless. Everything priced in dollars goes to zero, which is why you're not in stocks, because it's going down. It's going to, not only is it the market going to crash, but the value is going to be in dollars zero. So, yeah, they fucked it up pretty good, these Keynesians, the Jim Rickards of the world. Total idiots. All right. Have a good day. Time to eat. www.teaserking.com if you want to buy. 2 locks going so far and a lot of the games played. All right. Take care, everybody.